All right, good evening, everybody. Um, Back to kind of the scheduled times, although things are going to be a bit unusual, both tonight and just on the stream this week in general. That is because of the game that I'll be playing tonight, Old World. Some of you will remember on Monday we started sort of a run of the tutorials in Old World, and that is as much for me as it is anyone else. So this is a little bit of an unusual game for me for the simple reason that I've been with Old World for a while, and both like following the game as a fan as well as sort of getting to play earlier versions of it, and then playing it during its early period during its time in Epic. But it's also fair to say that I've had a very long hiatus from the game, and certainly there were some things that were unfamiliar. I think also because I was playing a lot of Civ in between, and one of the things that's very helpful about Old World is to not take a lot of that, a lot of what you've learned from other 4X games for granted. Um, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit off the top, but I think it's probably good to get the disclosures and all of that out of the way. So the weird part for me is that so it's fair to say I've been given a key for the purposes of promoting this game. That's actually going to be particularly relevant to what we do later. But the question is kind of who from? Because I was playing the Epic version before, and of course Hooded Horse most recently reached out. So it's probably just better to say it's like, they're the ones who gave it to me for promotional purposes. Please keep that in mind because I'm a very enthusiastic player of Old World. But it's a kind of a long and winding road in terms of where I came to from here. So it's the reason why I do this is because, again, it's nice to be proactive in that disclosure and also making sure that people or like making sure that I'm acknowledging, the people who have been kind enough to let me do this for you. But again, it is a bit of a weird one here because this is not entirely a new game to me, or the stream for that matter. But it's also been a long time since we last covered it, and one of the reasons for that is the some of the business with the audio, which has since been resolved. Now, the other thing I wanted to do before jumping into the tutorial, I should be loading the game up right now. I was talking when we were going through the tutorials on Monday. We're talking a little bit about sort of the origins of this game back when it was 10 crowns and some of the ways that like I first kind of became aware of it. And I did actually find the GDC talk that I'd referred to previously. It's a pretty short one, and actually it was part of a collection of 5 other talks. So if you prefer watching things as videos, I'll make sure that I put a link inside of the chat. But I did find the blog post on Designer Notes that... sorry, I just want to make sure I've got the audio. Yes. I actually wanted to take some time and do the do that blog entry. It's not that long, but I think this gives you an interesting insight in terms of the kind of what Old World was. Well, the game that would become Old World. I think it's kind of an interesting idea in terms of some of the early thoughts at the time of creating Old World. And the other reason why I think this is interesting is because I didn't get a chance to finish the whole episode, but I had mentioned that Soren Johnson is the host of, or at least one of the hosts of, the Designer Notes podcast. And I noticed that there was a new episode that came up where both he and Layla Johnson, who's CEO, and I can't remember the exact title for... I know there was story writing, but that's not the job title. I think it was creative director, and then Soren Johnson is the design director, but I really hate it when I get this stuff wrong, so... Yes, CEO and creative director. Mr. Johnson is the design director. In any case, both of them are interviewed for Designer Notes. I think Bruce Garrick and Tom Chick, I want to say. I definitely know Bruce Garrick's name. I think he actually wrote the Dominions or Conquest of Elysium manual, one of those manuals. In any case, I'm enjoying it, but I've got an hour left on it. I'm about halfway on the talks. I find it very interesting, but I'm also sort of at a point where how do I put it? Like I don't actually know all of the details with regards to the origins of the game. Actually, so one funny detail that I got out of the podcast was the name 10 Crowns. Like, I remember when I first saw that. So I thought of it as like the succession of rulers, which seems to be what it was originally intended to be. But I originally thought, I was like, oh, that's a really clever title, because like that's at the very top of all the alphabetically sorted lists. And that apparently was a reason why that title held for so long. But apparently there was a mutiny, and I will leave it to you to listen to the podcast. It was interesting, because I was like, oh, that's a really neat idea. I wonder why they changed it. And it's like apparently it was an increasingly unsustainable name. And actually, they mentioned that apparently the name of the company will be changing, so it will cease to be Mohawk Games, and I guess we'll find out what it becomes later. In any case, wanted to take a quick minute and give you this presentation, or well, to share the presentation. This was the very first thing that kind of I remember. Well, okay, it's the first distinct memory I have about 10 Crowns. I suspect that there was probably another news item, and I think it was. I seem to remember two things. It's like one, there was a 4X style game that was being made by Mohawk Games, which I really loved, Off-World Trading Company, and then something caught my attention about the fact that I don't think Stardock was publishing it. It was Starbreeze at the time. And I kind of wondered why there was the shift. Like, I just don't know how often it is for people to shift publishers, if that's a common thing to have happen or if that was unique. But anyways, this is a blog from a GDC talk that wound up kind of talking a bit about some of the ideas. I'll try zooming in a bit. So, and again, this is, if you want to hear the actual presentation, here it is, but I figured I would share it because it's not that long. It's probably about 10-15 minutes to read out. So, and the blog post is Know Your Inheritance GDC 2018. I gave a short talk at GDC this year on the importance of understanding what your game has inherited from the past. They have already posted the video here. My part starts at 2850. That's the link that I shared inside of chat. Since my talk was short and scripted, I'm also posting the slides and words for your reading pleasure. 3 strikes and you're out. This phrase is so common, it's basically an idiom. Indeed, while some of our non-American friends here might be baffled by baseball in general, they probably still know this rule. However, I thought this was a GIF. Anyways, this is a missed catch. We'll have the context in a second. It's not actually true. The batter is not out after the third strike. It's only when the catcher catches the ball that the batter is out. If the catcher drops or misses the pitch, then the batter is not out and has a chance to advance to first. This almost always results in an out, as the catcher simply picks up the ball and makes the easy throw, but occasionally this little-known rule can become a big deal, as it did in last year's final game in the playoff series between the Chicago Cubs and the Washington Nationals. Max Scherzer threw a third strike past swinging Javier Baez, but watch what happens. Oh, here's the video. The Nationals catcher, Matt Waiters, sorry for the pronunciation of these names, by the way, missed the ball between his legs, allowing Baez to make it safely to first base. This would have been the third out of the inning. Instead, the Cubs scored 2 more runs and later won the game by only 1 run and advanced to the next round. Thus, an obscure rule knocked the Nationals out of the playoffs. Where exactly did this rule come from? It actually reaches back to the very first rules of baseball, to the very first time the rules of baseball were put down in print by the German Johann Christoph Friedrich Gutsmuth. He outlined something called English baseball, which was a game of innings with a batter, fielders, safe bases, and scoring at home plate. However, there were no strikes or balls yet. The pitcher stood close to the batter and more or less delivered the ball as a soft lob to be hit. The pitcher wasn't trying to challenge the batter. The game was about fielding the ball after it was hit. However, what happens when there's a terrible batter who can't hit anything? In Goodsmith's game, he had a special rule for this situation. The batter gets only 3 swings. On the 3rd swing, the ball is automatically in play whether it is hit or not. So, the batter will run to first either after hitting the ball or missing for the 3rd time. Indeed, there is no catcher to receive the ball, so the pitcher would need to run to home plate to pick it up and throw it to first. In 1845, the American Knickerbocker Baseball Club wrote down their rules for the game, and some things had changed. The pitcher was now much further from the batter and threw the ball horizontally, which required the new position of catcher. However, they preserved the logic of the old Goodsmith's rule, that the ball was in play after the 3rd missed swing, like old legacy code lying around. The strikeout was actually emergent gameplay because after the 3rd miss, the ball was now technically in play, and the catcher turned it into an out by catching the pitch. Thus, there was no actual difference between the catcher making an out from catching a pop-up and the catcher making out from catching the pitch after the 3rd missed swing. In each case, the ball was now live, and the catcher made an out by catching the ball before it hit the ground. However, they had to patch the game later because of an unintended consequence of not taking the time to make the strikeout an official rule. Because the ball would be considered live after the 3rd strike, the possibility of a cheesy double or triple play existed. For example, if the bases were loaded and the catcher could intentionally drop the ball, pick it up again, step on home plate for an easy out, and then throw to 3rd and so on to 2nd for 2 more. Therefore, in 1887, they added a new rule so that the batter would automatically be out if a runner was on first base and there were less than 2 outs. Thus, 3 strikes and you're out, the way everyone assumes baseball is played, is true, but only under a very specific set of circumstances. They opted for an ugly patch instead of just rewriting the rules to match how the game was actually being played. Indeed, think about the situation with Javier Baez. There was a runner on first base, so even though the catcher dropped the ball, it should have been a strikeout, except there were 2 outs, so now we're back to the original drop 3rd strike rule again. They could have just rewritten the rules so that 3 strikes you're out applies at all times. Wouldn't that be simpler, more intuitive? Why go to the trouble of fixing one glaring issue with catchers intentionally dropping the ball and not just get rid of the old vestigial rule? The reason is that we inherit our game design from everything that comes before us. Sometimes this inheritance is obvious. Civ 6 inherited from Civ 5, which inherited from Civ 4, and so on. Sometimes a designer inherits from the games he or she played as a kid. Mario de Braid, Myst the Witness. I'm assuming... apparently it's just Jonathan Blow slide, but... Sometimes games inherit from themselves. This is a timeline of the development of our economic RTS Off-World Trading Company. Again, for those of you who've come in between, this is Soren Johnson's presentation. I had nothing to do with Off-World Trading Company, obviously, and various stages of development. This is a wonderful game, by the way, if you've not played it. You might make certain development shortcuts or hacks early on just so that you can get your prototype playable, but then these assumptions are now baked into your design whether you want them there or not. You have to remember that this was an accident or an arbitrary choice. The most common thing to inherit, however, is game mechanics, usually from games in the same genre. For example, although Off-World Trading Company is an RTS, it's notable for being one without units. However, we didn't start there, as we inherited from all the other RTSs before us, StarCraft, Age of Empires, etc. Thus we had scouts, builders, transports, pirate ships, police ships, and so on. Over time, we discovered that this inheritance was weighing the game down, forcing the player to spend time wrangling units that would have been better spent playing the market. Slowly, we took these units out one by one, first the transports, then the combat units, then the builders, and finally the scouts. The game looks like a radical break with the past, but it took us a long time to get there. The problem is that iterative design can be a trap, that you no longer see those parts of your game that are holding you back from a much better design. It's easier to make small changes that fix glaring issues rather than to reevaluate your entire design. Sometimes the problem with the game's inheritance can be at the conceptual level. Consider Spore, which was conceived as a power of 10 game which went from cellular scale all the way up to galactic scale. That was the hook, the point of making the game. This part of the game was widely seen as a disappointment, that the 5 disparate levels felt like 5 different games duct taped together. However, something interesting happened with the failure of Spore, which is that it wasn't actually a failure at all. This is how many people are playing Spore right now. Not bad for a 10-year-old game. It should mention here that this is 2018 talk, so I believe these numbers are a little bit lower, but still, it's pretty good. Indeed, check out this chart, which compares Spore to the two most successful PC games released in the same year, 2008. Spore currently crushes them, and keep in mind that Spore didn't even launch on Steam. What happened is that the most interesting part of the game did not come from the Powers of 10 concept, but from the editors inside the game, especially the creature editor, which dynamically animated the player's creations. However, these editors were developed midway through the project. Maxis started making a game about one thing and accidentally ended up making a game about something else. One of the big unanswered questions about Spore is what we could have done if we had been able to ditch the Powers of 10 concept and refocus the game on the editors. Here's a classic case study in inheriting bad design. Creep denial is a mechanic in the original Dota where you can kill your own units to keep your opponents from getting gold and experience from them. Indeed, creep denial is one of the focal points of high-level play in Dota to maximize your experience point gain relative to your opponents to outlevel them. However, it's an open question as to whether or not this is actually good design. At the very least, creep denial is accidental design because Dota inherited it from Warcraft 3. This was simply how the game handled killing your own units. Indeed, the fact that Warcraft 3 even allowed killing your own units was likely an afterthought by the designers. Dota inherited this rule because the game was literally built inside of Warcraft 3 as a mod. Thus, MOBAs inherited a ton of design and mechanics from Warcraft 3. The original Dota designers may have wanted things to work differently, but they really didn't have a choice given the limitations and assumptions of the Warcraft 3 editor. Dota 2 and League of Legends, of course, inherit their design from the original Dota mod, but they made different choices about their inheritance of creep denial. Basically, League dropped it while Dota 2 kept it. This is from a Reddit thread on why creep denial is not in League. Don't worry about reading this. I just want to point out how Random Guy Dota is trying to explain why creep denial is bad for the design using the game mechanics themselves. This is pretty typical reasoning for something that has become part of a game's design inheritance. The burden of proof is always on why it should be removed from the game and not on how it got added in the first place. However, I have a simpler explanation for why creep denial is bad design. It's dumb! I mean, come on. You want your players to spend their time killing their own units? Is that really a core part of what makes MOBAs work? Would the game fall apart if you couldn't kill your own guys? Adin perhaps sums it up better than I ever could. If you can't read the text, it says, yeah, it adds more skill to MOBAs in the same way that lighting half the pieces on fire would add skill to chess. At some point, you have to step back as a designer and reevaluate your inheritance. Does the core gameplay survive without the feature? Is the feature unintuitive, making the game harder to understand or pick up? Is there a better way for players to be spending their time than on this feature? In the case of creep denial, the answer to all those questions suggests that the game would be better off without it. There's only one magical core feature to MOBAs, the one feature which cannot be dropped, and that is taking the scope and complexity of an RTS, but focusing the player's control to just one unit, which makes the game accessible to a larger audience by an order of magnitude. Everything else is just accidental inheritance resulting from the genre's origin as a Warcraft 3 mod. In fact, League doesn't have creep denial now, but they actually started with it. These are League of Legends' very first patch notes, published in July 2009. They inherited creep denial, but killed it very early. So, although they got it from the original mod, they were willing to critically examine their game's past. In contrast, here is the history of creep denial from Dota 1 to Dota 2. You can see an awareness that creep denial might not be the best thing for the game. Look at 682. Denied creeps now give less experience. A clear sign that they are re-evaluating this feature by changing its rewards. However, instead of ripping it out, they are making small changes around the edges. Basically, they're doing what baseball did when they patched the drop third strike rule by making it not apply in certain circumstances instead of just getting rid of the dumb rule itself. Remember my questions on the value of creep denial? Does the core gameplay survive without the feature? Is the feature unintuitive, making the game harder to understand or to pick up? Is there really a better way for the players to be spending their time than on this feature? Running this exercise with the drop third strike rule gets us to the same place, that it's bad, accidental design that is ultimately hurting baseball. Now here's a comparison of the two games and some other MOBAs. There are many reasons why League outpaces Dota 2 by an order of magnitude. An almost 3-year head start is a pretty big one, but I also believe that Riot's philosophy of re-examining their inheritance from the original Dota mod, which extends well beyond just removing creep denial, is a very important piece. Now, I also have thoughts about last hitting, but fortunately I don't have time for that. I say fortunately because Heroes of the Storm, which is the only one of these three to actually drop last hitting, is less successful than Dota 2, let alone League. Thus, I can't really make an argument that the market has proven that last hitting is bad design. Further, I don't think that it would be reasonable to expect Riot to experiment with dropping last hitting at this point. It's just too late. League is one of the world's most popular games. Indeed, they're lucky that they dropped creep denial so early in their development. Before doing so might have split community opinion. We don't always have the luxury of looking at the market to prove our decisions, which is why re-examining a game's inheritance is such a difficult and important issue. Choosing to erase your inheritance takes real bravery. Sometimes you have to trust your own rational design process if you see a problem. Sometimes you have to go with your gut. Ultimately, you must be willing to see your history, know how it led you to where you are today, and have the courage to drop the past. And I should also give the link. So the GDC talk is present in the links, but that's also that's the link to the article that I was just reading. So I opted to do that. I always feel a little uncomfortable, particularly with GDC stuff, because I believe, like, I know you pay to go to GDC, and I suspect they may be rightly annoyed if I just play their videos on my channel. But I think, particularly because we're talking so much about the difference or similarity for Old World and other games, particularly because this is an article that was definitely a very early point of interest for me in terms of Old World. I wanted to take a minute and share that. I hope you didn't think it was too self-indulgent, but I do think it's kind of useful to think about some of this stuff. In the end, we can play these games and enjoy them. I actually prefer Dota 2 to League, and I kind of liked creep denial because it would give me things to do. But I will also admit that I don't have a very good argument against the point that Johnson's making in that presentation. I'd maybe not put a lot of weight on the relative strength of the of the performance of the games. I think there might be other factors, some of which are acknowledged in the talk. But like, I'll be honest with you, my enjoyment of like last hitting and denial and that come as a player who started playing Dota 2 and not playing League. And so I suspect that I'm probably one of these people who've been caught at the local maxima. If I suspect, probably Soren Johnson's view would be that I'm not even at a local maximum there. But yeah, in this particular case, I grudgingly acknowledge the arguments and the fact that I don't really have an answer to them. But I'm a player, not a designer. What can I say? Anyways. Isn't there I thought there was a learn to play. So you will notice I did actually take some time. I ran through, sorry, I'm really nervous about the music thing, so I'm just going to double check one more time. Yes. So I did do a couple of rounds on my own just because I was really enjoying the game and I wanted to see where it was going. I'm actually kind of glad I did this with Polemos because there is actually one thing that you can do to really mess up your playthrough on this one. But what we're going to do tonight, I got through the introductory material that I wanted to do. We are going to finish the Learn to Play. That's going to be picking up from what we did on Monday. And then we are going to do a scenario. Potentially more than one if time permits, but I want to at least get Polemos down and one scenario, and then that will probably lead us into tomorrow, which is the point where you will be able to buy and play Old World yourself. Of course, you can buy and play Old World right now on Epic, but if you've been waiting for Steam, tomorrow will be when that comes out, along with Heroes of the Aegean. And I know Mohawk will be doing a bunch of streams, which hopefully I get a chance to watch tomorrow. So, Old World takes place in classical antiquity focused around the Mediterranean Sea and the Middle East, where you lead one of 7 nations who left their mark on history. You begin with a single settler and must forge an empire in a world filled with already developed nations. This is the 5th in a series of tutorials to help you learn the basics of Old World. These tutorials will not cover everything in the game, but will walk you through the basics of ruling your nation. In this tutorial, you will start with the knowledge that Rome paid the Thracians to assassinate Philip. You have located the Romans to the west of Greece. Alexander has taken some time to train an army. It is now time to deploy and crush Rome. And I did switch to the Steam version here and put it on my SSD, so hopefully things load a little quicker. Polemos. Hello, Alexander of Greece. You are the second leader of Greece after your father Philip was brutally assassinated. In this tutorial, you will start with the knowledge that Rome paid Thracians to assassinate your father. You have located the Romans to the west of Greece. The Greek army is stationed in southern Greece and will take some time to arrive. You need to increase your military infrastructure and defenses before attacking Rome. Alexander, are you ready to lead the glorious army of Greece and defeat Rome? I am ready to lead Greece. Polemos, the Greek word for war, is approaching. You must prepare for war with Rome and destroy them. The Greek hoplite is a unique unit specific to Greece. Every nation has access to 2 unique units. The first is available to build in cities that have a stronghold, and the second is available to build in cities that have a citadel. To build a stronghold, your nation must have 4 active laws, and the city must be at developing culture and have a garrison. To build a citadel, your nation must have 6 active laws, and the city must be at strong culture and have a stronghold. Open the laws screen and enact your 4th law. A law group contains a choice between 2 laws. You can see if a law group is available to enact with the flashing attention icon. Click on either the tyranny or constitution from the sovereignty group, or either the colonies or serfdom from the navigation group. To enact your 4th law. Then use your worker to construct a stronghold. Once completed, train a hoplite in the city. Note, in this tutorial, all parts of Old World will be enabled except for ambitions outside of the story of this tutorial. Good luck. I'll enact a 4th law, build a stronghold, and build a hoplite. King Alexander the Able has started a new ambition. Enact a 4th law, build a stronghold, and train a hoplite. Okay, so we'll start with the law. I think that's up here. Yes. So it does tell me the available laws, tyranny or constitution, colonies, or serfdom. We, of course, the game kind of already gave us some recommendations here. So under tyranny, this would give us 20 training a year. All cities would get +8 a year in per military unit in the territory. Low civics, so we would reduce our civics we would reduce our civics the rate of acquisition. Orators would give us +10, or we can have a constitution, unlocks decrees in the capital, gets 4 additional wealth per year per specialist, low training, so we would be sacrificing 6 training a year, which is fairly substantial compared to what we give up with tyranny, and then statesman would have an opinion of +10. If I can't decide between either of these either of these laws to emphasize, I could also check out colonies, so we can buy tiles, movement bonus along neutral rivers, and low training. Diplomats will like us more. Or serfdom, farms and pastures have +20% output, lower money, and landowners would have a higher opinion of us. I think in this case I'm going to go for constitution for the wealth, and then we will just have to compensate. Also, we're generating a very large amount of training, so in that case we can also sort of see that we're sort of trading some of that back. And we don't have any more civics, so we can't pick between colonies and serfdom right now. Okay, so next up we want to build a stronghold. And it's recommending one right here. Now, I'm cheating a little bit here. I seem to remember that I think the game actually wanted me to build a barracks next turn. So I'm going to leave these 2 workers. Again, I could be wrong on this, but I seem to remember that's how that worked. So I'm actually going to leave these 2, I'm going to leave them alone this time around. You are now known as Alexander the Just. Queen Consort Marilia the Builder is now the head of Greek paganism. Their opinion of you has gone from cautious to upset. Training facilities generate training, which can be used to promote units, assign generals, and execute military-based missions. Training facilities also give experience towards promotions to any appropriate unit that stays in the facility's title. For instance, melee units gain experience when they are idle and end their turn on a barracks. Each of your cities already has a barracks. You currently have 3 barracks. Improve your generation of training by building 2 more barracks in any of your cities. King Alexander the Just has started a new ambition, build 2 more barracks for a total of 5 to increase training. So we'll see if the game, looks like the game doesn't have any specific recommendations, so I will... Now, one thing that I've noticed in some cases, so I get plus 1/8 for training. I'm curious... Okay. I'll still stick them together. I noticed that there were some adjacency bonuses, and I'm wondering if it's actually the same as Offworld Trading Company. I'm guessing it isn't in this particular case, but I should keep an eye on that. You once heard a saying from a military genius named Sun Tzu, which goes, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." The meaning of the saying is that if you know where the enemy is and know where your own troops are, then you will be able to make good tactical decisions. One way to find out about the enemy is to use a scout to locate their cities and units. The scout has the ability to hide in trees in neutral, unowned, or friendly land. To explore your own enemy's territory without them becoming aware of your presence, ensure that your scout units keep to neutral or friendly trees. Note, scouts are hidden in all tiles if your leader is a schemer. A scout has arrived from the south to explore around the Roman lands and locate their army. Remember to use trees to hide your scouting from Rome in neutral land. This may even mean exploring a little ways and then backtracking to the safety of the trees. If your scout is spotted by Rome in neutral land, then you will fail this ambition and the tutorial. You will not fail this ambition if your scout is spotted by Rome while still within Greece's borders. I will carefully explore around the Roman lands and find their army. Now, there's 2 things that are not entirely clear to me on this. So this is one of the places where you can fall into a trap. So the game does warn you. The trick is that you could be in the middle of the war. You could be winning the war, and then you just kind of move the scout into an open area for a better view. And at any point in this tutorial, if the scout gets spotted, it gives you a game over. So like even if your like all pretense has been abandoned, if everybody's sort of just in the war and you decided to move your scout for whatever reason, you can still lose even if you're just surrounding, you know, a Roman city and you're about to take it. So fair warning if you are doing this yourself. But the one question that I'm not so clear on is if you aren't in the tree. So if you're like partway through your move, like is it a question of does your scout have to end its turn in the trees, or does the scout have to always be invisible kind of in between moves? I'm not 100% sure how that works, to be honest. But anyways, King Alexander the Just has started a new ambition: explore around the Roman lands to find their army. You will fail if your scout is spotted by Rome. So I'm going to be careful in terms of placement. And we will end the year. Okay, that barracks is already done. Now, one thing I've tended to notice when I've played this is that I tend to neglect urban improvements. So I am going to build a garrison just because that gives me more orders, but following that, I think I do want to try and get the misery under control as well. I'm back to bad habits. One of the things that I did. So one of the really unique features about Old World is its orders system. And actually, again, if you're interested in this game and you want to know a little bit about its origins, there's a really interesting discussion about the order system and kind of its idea of being something that would be used maybe in like a mobile or a web-based game. And so what... Now, this is a very different game from that, but it is kind of unique. I really like this idea here of kind of having to potentially have lots of things you want to do, but a limited ability to perform it. And of course, particularly when there's a war going on, but you still sort of want to be able to maintain or expand your infrastructure. I definitely kind of like the the hard decisions that you need to make. However, because I'm sort of spoiled from other games, one thing that I do tend to notice is that I'll just run through my actions without thinking of them a whole lot, and then I'll wind up in situations where I'm like, oh wait, I've run out of orders, I can't do what I was planning on. So that's definitely the case here with my scout. My current ambition is related to the scout. It's the first thing I should have done. And again, that's just to help develop those good habits of making sure that I'm prioritizing things correctly. Oops, sorry. We can end the year. Unwilling to put effort into anything, Queen Consort Morelia the Builder, your wife, is slothful. And Princess Irixo, your daughter, your heir, now has the Orator trait, so we should become a tyranny. Old World is not just a game about leading a nation to victory. Old World is also about the characters and their developing stories. The event system is the main way that character stories develop. Each turn, you will be presented with some events that are occurring. These events can involve your leader, your characters, families, or cities, or even other nations, tribes, or religions. There are well over 3,000 events in the game, and the event system is designed to present different emerging stories each game. You may be called upon to make a decision between two arguing families, or you may need to decide what to do when your heir elopes with a commoner. You may even get to take on a pet or bet on a horse race. Some events are linked, and some previous decisions may present different options later in the game. Your spy master may be tasked to assassinate a foreign leader, which may lead to different events later in the game depending on how the mission goes. From next turn, the event system will be active. Some events will automatically open for a decision at the start of your turn. Some events may be decided on later in the turn. You may see how many events you have waiting on a decision by the event exclamation icon just above the next turn button. Happy storytelling. I will make my own stories through the event system. Okay, so I'm going to get out of my bad habits, and we're going to move the scout. Now again, we've got scrub, which I do not believe hides my scout, so I want to check. Okay, so it looks like I don't have much in the way of choices here. Now this would end my turn, so I think I'm actually going to be a bit of a coward and move back to the woods just in case. Okay, we built our stronghold in Syracuse, so we could build a Shrine of Zeus. I don't think we'll be building any wonders. Or I could build a theater. I think I'll start with the shrine. There's a lot happening in a game of Old World, and it is easy to overlook the opportunity to make a decision somewhere. You could miss that you can tutor a child as a leader, or that one of your cities may now appoint a governor. A reminder system has been included to help indicate to you where you may make decisions. In the bottom notification icons and the reminder notification icon, in the bottom notification icons, the reminder notification icon indicates that reminders are active. Click on the reminder notification icon and choose which item you would like to make a decision on. That item will then become active and allow you to make your decision. Keep an eye on this notification icon because new reminders will appear each turn and some reminders may expire. I will check the reminders for decisions I may take. This actually addresses something that I was talking about on Monday. In terms of just not knowing that I'd be able to do certain things or not having a good way of navigating through it. So I will click on this and see what we have available. Queen Consort Morelia the Builder meets with you to discuss spiritual matters. She has recently taken up the mantle of leader of Greek paganism in the wake of Periander the Younger's death. She converses with you on various issues as you stroll through the palace garden after attending a sacrifice, until finally getting to the heart of the matter. My predecessor, Periander, may he rest in peace, was less than pleased based upon all the correspondence I have read. I came here to see for myself what sort of person you are. How shall you respond to this? I am but a mere mortal. Queen Consort Morelia the Builder becomes suspicious of the king, or I am a loyal patron of Greek paganism. And in this case, we basically bribe, I believe, not only bribe the religion, but bribe my wife. Finally, I am a humble servant of God, but that would require me to be religious. So, I am a loyal patron of Greek paganism. And notice here that our opinion is increased. Oligarch Demetrius of Pella meets with you to discuss court matters, as he has recently taken up the mantle of family head of the Kypselids in the wake of the death of Stratonice the Orator. He converses with you on various issues as you stroll through the palace gardens until getting to the heart of the matter. My predecessor, Stratonice, God rest her soul, was non-committal about your relationship based on all the correspondence I have read. I came here to see for myself what sort of person you are. So, I try my best. I leave the rest to fate. This would make them jealous, or I could be a loyal patron of the Cypselids if we could reach an understanding. Sure, why not? It's bribery month. All right. So I was talking about urban improvement. So the stronghold will give me the potential for extra orders. What I want to take a quick look here is in, I think it's Olynthus. So we're currently generating 6 discontent sort of a turn. But before I do that, again, gotta remember my priorities. Your scout comes to the edge of the forest near the Roman border. Rows of orderly tents stand with colorful pennants flying from their peaks and snapping in the breeze. Your scout can make out the insignia of Roman melee units, archer units, and in the very center of the military camp, the unmistakable emblem of the legendary Roman Hastatus. A formidable army, but one that you are sure you can defeat. I will continue preparing for polemos with Rome. You are now known as Alexander the Good. You've completed the ambition, explore around the Roman lands and find their army. You will fail if your scout is spotted by Rome and gain 10 legitimacy. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to put the scout on sleep, just so I don't wind up, just so I don't wind up losing unexpectedly. Nope, Syracuse has production, so in this case we want to train the Hoplite. There is only one option here, because of the this is the only one with a stronghold. We can also pay to rush, but I don't quite see a lot of value in doing that yet. Okay, so I can try to improve the culture. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the culture and reduce the discontent first. Then we can consider strongholds. Okay, and I've got a slinger to run around now. I believe... Yeah, I don't really think this does much, having them in the barracks because they're not a melee unit. I also believe there's like a green... Oh, actually, here's an interesting question. Can they... No, they cannot. Well... I was wondering if they can collect lavender, but it seems like they can't. You're now known as Alexander the Strong. You've completed the ambition, build 2 more barracks for a total of 5 to increase training, and we've gained legitimacy from that. Princess Urexo, your daughter, I keep forgetting to check this exclamation mark. I said I was going to check that too. Is always an agreeable companion and is now known to be affable. Your hardy workers completed 2 more barracks. This will increase the amount of training generated each year. Cities with barracks will train units more quickly. You may also move melee units onto barracks, allowing them to earn experience each year. Leave them there long enough, and they may even level up and receive a free promotion. I will continue preparing for polemos with Rome. Okay. So we've got governors we can choose, first of all. Alexander's going to wind up as a general, so we should probably... Okay, well, we'll put Phila the Younger. We do lose a bit of money off of that, but they're the better governor choice. And Syracuse... Okay, well, we'll put Alexander there for now. We will have to reassign him, though. The ambassador is currently idle. Yeah, we're going to fight them anyway, so let's demand tribute. I don't really think I have anything for the Chancellor to do yet. But let's try and get people on side. So I believe if I have good relations with the Queen Consort, as the head of Greek paganism, they should be able to sort of smooth things over with other families. Oh, but I can't influence them. Why? I've already influenced them. Fair enough. So, in this case... I need to find... Ah, here we go. Oligarch Dirtis the Schemer. So what I'm going to do here is I will try to get on their good side, and then I will get them to influence the Queen Consort. It said colonies or serfdom. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when we move on. We could build the Oracle. We could build the Hanging Gardens. We could build another garrison, or we could build a theater. What are we looking at? So, I suppose there's kind of the same arguments for urban, or not urban expansion, but garrisons for orders. Yeah, you know what? I'll start by building a garrison. I'll feel bad about it though. And this is kind of wasteful. Actually, you know what? Game hasn't yelled at me for having them there yet, so... Duke Meliger has grown more confident and charming. He has gained +1 charisma. A new marriage proposal for your daughter, Princess Sirexo, has arrived from the Kypselid and Argead families. We should consider how this will affect the court. So, my champions for extra training. New units start with Steadfast when built in those cities. And then these were the... We are going to be going to war, so it would kind of make sense that the... You know, we would make the warlike family like me more. We will go with Chancellor Calypsos. I think we'll put this unit to sleep for now. Okay, Axeman. I think in this case I'll actually move the Axeman up here. And it's just simply because, yes, I can train them, but in this case... Rome's this way, so I'm gonna need I'm probably gonna need them a little bit closer to the front. Okay, now because we know a war's coming, there would be some sense in continuing to build units. Alternatively, I can try and improve my state by building some upgrades. So just taking a quick second here. The Rancher is actually kind of attractive because of the extra orders, so I think I'm going to start with that. And no special actions. I wonder what happened with the law option. You've successfully exerted your influence upon Oligarch Dirtis the Schemer, but appear weak in the process. People come from all around and line the streets and cheer as the first Greek hoplite marches out the city gates. Each nation has 2 unique units. Greece has the hoplite and phalangite units. Rome has the Hastatus and legionary units. I will continue preparing for polemos with Rome. You've completed an ambition, enact a fourth law, build a stronghold, and train a hoplite. Miss Ariella, how you doing? Well, I hope you have a good work day, and I also hope you try... I hope you try Old World soon. The Greek army has arrived from the south. You have been given a large amount of training to prepare the army. Promote your units and assign generals to some. When you are ready, move at least 7 units of your army to the highlighted staging area on the map. Hey, Tiberiosity, good to see you too. Yeah, I noticed it's been a little quiet, but I'm happy to share the game. I hope some of you got a chance to hear the Knowing the Inheritance talk beforehand. I thought it was interesting, but I will leave it to your judgment. Obviously, the failings would be on my reading, not on the content itself. All right. King Alexander the Strong has started a new ambition: deploy the Greek army to the highlighted area. Now, again, remember, we've got a ton of training here, so this is an opportunity for us to level up a bunch of units as well. I always thought you had to promote them within your borders, but that doesn't actually seem to be true. Unfortunately, we aren't really going to be able to do much with our build. Well, maybe I do want to get my builders out of the way. Is there anything... I think anything that I can do to improve my orders would be worthwhile. So yeah, I can definitely see this unit building the stronghold. That doesn't mean, like, now I'm going to be focusing on, on all these troops, but... So... That'll make them good versus infantry. So I'm moving the ones furthest away for the start, just because, again, I want to get 7 in, and it helps to just kind of not have a big reserve sitting in the back, not doing anything. Vision's kind of tempting. So give us the extra crit. Am I not allowed to move you? Ooh, ignoring... Besieger and Eagle Eye are both really good. Let's do Eagle Eye. Hopefully I can remember that that's the one that has that. And looks like we are out of orders. I think there was an option to buy some. Yeah. I think I will resist the urge for now, though. So let's, again, whatever we can do to try and boost our orders is my first priority. There is also the small option of building more units, although we have quite a few here, so I don't know if that's the done thing. I think if I invest in the culture, then that's going to allow me to build the other improved unit. Okay, they're done building a chariot here, so this rancher does not seem to give me more orders. Interesting. Again, I kind of question the decision as to whether or not it's the best choice for me to not to be building a bunch of units right now, but again, we've got a pretty sizable army here, so I will risk it. You're now known as Alexander the Noble. The Seleucid family has converted to Greek paganism. A humble delegation returns from Rome bearing mountains of tribute. They abase themselves before you and present their best offerings last. They wish to cultivate a new industry in Olynthus. Furthermore, they offer to provide the necessary essentials and pay you for the privilege. It seems the climate of Olynthus is uniquely suited to this endeavor. So we are intrigued by the discovery of gems and will also demand payment, or we are intrigued by the discovery of salt and will demand payment. We currently have fur and dyes, so I don't... Oh, hang on. Families like certain... Okay, so gems and salt. Not relevant to these. Nope. So the Seleucid like gems. Okay, so nobody likes salt. But it does seem that we've got more than one that likes gems. All right, so we're going to go back on our our training regimen here. I think I'll do a basic combat. I'm not 100% sure on these upgrades yet, if I'm completely honest. You can do brave. Certainly a bold move to put the siege units right up front, but we're not at war yet, so... I'm assuming the hoplites will be better against cavalry, so there may be... I may question the choice. I should have moved these folks in the back, but anyways, that's fine. We'll sort it. I also still need to assign generals and such, but Duke Meliger, your brother, has converted to Greek paganism. Princess Eurexo and Prince Sopolis have given birth to a son, Duke Pericles, and Aristander the Prosperous has converted to Greek paganism. As our treasuries fill with the finest luxuries, the Kypselid family has come to demand a cut of the wealth. They desire more of our collected dyes, or will they make our job of governing difficult? What shall we tell them? If it keeps them happy, or they forget their place? No, keep them happy. I'm debating as to whether or not I should try and mess around. Oh, we can assign a governor. We can afford to lose a bit of money, I think. Why is Miltiades mad at me? Oh, he's just proud. Okay. I don't think there's much I can really do to help with that. So I'll try influencing him. I was working on... Right. Okay. So Dertis the Schemer. So I want to use him to... Oh. He does not like me enough. All right. Well, so much for that. We won't mind about the rest of the orders for my people then. Okay. So first thing I want to do, let's get Hoplite up front. I'm going to be a little more archery focused with these. Let's add a general. Keep forgetting to run these guys. I also wanted to promote them. All right. Oh, we've got 7 units in, so this is... We're already deployed. I kind of messed this up. Oh well. Let's Scared to take any risks or even make mistakes, Princess Erexo the Orator, your daughter, governor of Reagan, your heir, has become timid. Your army is now ready to attack Rome. I will continue initiating polemics with Rome. You've completed the ambition to deploy the Greek army to the highlighted area for additional legitimacy. It is now time to avenge your father, declare war on Rome, and invade their lands with your army. Your objective is to capture a Roman city. You have some onagers, which are siege units. Siege units are fantastic at battering down a city's defenses. To use an onager, move it within attacking range of a city. You can hover the cursor over a unit and to see its attack range, outlined in red. Some siege units, like onager, require them to be unlimbered before firing, which can be done by clicking unlimber on the unit's action menu. It takes 1 turn for a ranged siege unit to unlimber, after which point you will be ready to attack. A few archer units are included in your army. Archers are good at damaging enemy units from afar or battering down a city's defenses. Most ranged units may move and fire in the same turn. Mounted units, including the horseman units in your army, have an ability called Rout. After killing an enemy unit, a unit with Rout will advance into that tile and may make another attack on an adjacent unit. It is possible to create rout chains where a unit will rout a number of enemy units in a row. Mounted units are great at cleaning up the battlefield after your ranged units have damaged an advancing enemy army. Use your onagers and archers to batter down the city's defenses. When the city's defenses are nearly gone, bring in your hoplites to finish off the city. Keep your horseman units close by to pounce on any approaching enemies. I will take the city from the Romans. Okay, let's start by getting the remaining units in position. As you can see, it's a very aggressive army. So I still need to add some generals next turn, but... You successfully exerted your influence upon Oligarch Miltiades of Syracuse, and the Kypselid family has converted to Greek paganism. Okay, well, let's still focus on combat unless there's things I can do to improve the rate at which I acquire orders. And we get to choose a chancellor. Still weirded out by that one rancher that gave me the extra orders. Oh yeah, no, there's totally one here. Okay. Oh right, because it's horses, I'm guessing. Okay, so let's... I suppose probably it makes the most sense to send a hoplite in. Court awaits your command. Shall we declare war on Rome? Proceed with war preparations. Okay. Oh, there's Ostia. Kind of right next door to it, but... So I don't know if there's a difference in terms of the damage that we can do. What I want to just try and do here is surround the city and fire as many arrows at it as I can. my units blocking? Yep, no, we're fine. So, of course, we know there's enemy troops here. One drawback with this is that if they kind of move around the edge, my archers are in trouble. But for starters... Oop, don't have orders. We're in an okay spot, and we also get a chance to sort of see how they move, so... It's not the idle city. Okay, we finished the rancher. I think we're back in our old dilemma. Some more training may be where I want to go with this. Well, culture as well. Yeah, we'll do a master poet. Okay, let's see what the Romans get up to. Princess Cyrexia the Orator has converted to Greek paganism. And we get a chance to... Wow, we get a lot of boosts. So the game's recommending metaphysics, but we only get a chance... For those of you who didn't see the tutorial from the previous session on Monday, if you don't use one of these boosts when they're... when you draw them, you use it or you lose it. So in this case, I can get a free chariot, training boost, civics boost, and whichever of these I don't pick, except for metaphysics, they're gone. So I think we'll go for a chariot here just because of the mobility. I've got tons of training still, and maybe it's less clear to me what I need the civics for at the moment. So we'll pick that. So it looks like that army's just kind of sitting pretty. Okay, we caught the city. You've destroyed the city's defenses and now occupy a Roman city. When a city is breached, it enters a state of anarchy. It is during this period that ownership of the city will change over to you. You must keep one of your units in the city at all times while capturing. During this time, the number of turns remaining before capture are displayed on the city bar. Once you've gained control of a city in anarchy, you will be able to choose which of your families to give the city to. At this point, the city is now yours. I will continue polemics with Rome. You are now known as Alexander the Magnificent. And you have completed an ambition, take a city from Rome. It's time to avenge your father, Alexander. Direct the mighty Greek army to finish Rome off by capturing their remaining cities. I will conquer Rome by capturing all their cities. King Alexander the Magnificent has started the new ambition, conquer Rome by capturing all their cities. Now, I do need to start assigning generals again. So one thing I want to do is... Actually, I should move the unit first. So I'll just keep an eye on my orders. But where I can, I'm just going to have a wall of hoplites. Or at the very least, a wall of melee units, and then we'll sort of see what we're up against. Okay. Do I want to get reckless with my general? Why not? Oh, well, there we go. So I'm assuming that there's just going to be a pile of people that come in and murder this this horse unit, so that may be a highly questionable choice that I made here, but I'm a little curious. So, leader abilities. Some leaders have special abilities that you may use during war. These abilities depend on the archetype of your leader. Alexander is a hero leader, and his special wartime ability is to launch an offensive. To execute this mission, the hero leader must be the general of a unit. The launch offensive mission will reduce the cooldown effect on any adjacent military unit and add +1 orders per unit affected by the mission. This effectively means that, for the cost of some training, a hero leader general can allow a group of units to have a second attack in the same turn, which can be very powerful. Other leader abilities include a builder. Leader's workers may build urban tiles, stack workers to complete improvements faster, and build workers quicker. An orator leader enjoys better relations with religions and may recruit mercenaries and gains +2 orders per turn per city with a friendly family. A tactician leader gains +2 vision around their units, plus their ranged units are hidden from friendly or neutral trees, plus more. To access the Launch Offensive mission, click on the unit being led by your hero leader and select the Launch Offensive mission on the action menu to the left. I will use Launch Offensive to my benefit during war. Okay, so we got to end the year, and let's see what the consequences of my choices are. Interesting. They kind of cut off my... Yeah, they've cut off the general. Oh dear. Now known as Alexander the Glorious. Princess Erixo, the orator, your daughter, has been overcome by fear and has lost courage. Okay, so there's a couple things that I can do here. Remember what the game recommended as far as weakening enemy units and then using the sort of the route ability to sort of cut through a bunch of the baddies. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on these axemen. Not quite ready to finish them off. Ooh. Alexander is you and the general of horsemen, so we can become an heckler, swift, or greater courage. Oh yeah, we'll definitely do greater courage. Okay, so I want to take advantage of this leader ability. This doesn't immediately help me right now. That's Alexander's unit. Okay. Oh, I kind of messed this up. That's fine though. So what we do is we launch an offensive. The Axis finish these folks off. So Alexander still gets a move. I'm just noting here the Axemen gets a bonus versus anti-polearm, which I believe the Hoplite is. Oh no, it just says anti-mounted, so maybe I'm imagining that. Either way, the decision's made. And I think in this case I can justify the force march. I think we should keep some backup in Ostia. Yeah. I've completely ignored the siege engines. That was my bad. So we lost the chariot, but otherwise I think we're in decent shape. Oh, spoke too soon. Probably gonna lose. Nope. Nope, looks like we didn't lose them. Okay, so this is Alexander's unit, so I want to be a little thoughtful in terms of how I approach it. So ranged isn't exactly going to work here. I hope I'm making the right call here. Yeah, I should have been moving those a lot sooner. Okay. So, what I want to do now, I want to try and take advantage of the refresh everyone ability again. So, let's start with enough arrows to blot out the sun. I'm not 100% sure how to get a read on the damage that Alexander's going to do on the axe unit here. I think I just kind of need to move him in. Okay, cool. So we take advantage of the scaredy cat feature. So I do think it makes more sense to try and surround this place. But I'm not leaving myself a lot of opportunities to do the rally, unfortunately. Oh, we're out of orders. Okay, well, I can get a little bit. Oh. Well, I've really gone and done it now. So one thing I'm noticing, it kind of forces me to go through all the units before getting to the stuff that's stopping me from turning over the turn. I really got to pay much better attention at my overall orders. I think we're going to keep investing in... I do need to make stop people from being so miserable. We'll do an Elder Poet, but... Okay, let's see how many units we lose. I'm assuming we're losing at least one horseman. Bernice is converted to Greek paganism. Okay. Game's recommending a lumber mill. Or we can get a free... I think I'll take the freebie. Give your newest city of Ostia to one of your families. So I think in this case we'll go to the Argead because we're in war. And Xanthippe, your sister-in-law, and your ambassador. We could... Let's do bonus to religious opinion. Okay, let's see if we can recover some of our losses here. So, number one, let's go... So I think the Hastati are probably the ones I need to fear the most. I do also need to worry about these bows, though. Oh, can this thing already go after the four? Okay. Again, this is a little bit of a distraction, but... This will give me a chance to heal this unit. Okay, so let's think about how we're using the rest of this. So I think I'm actually going to start by trying to take out these axemen. Cool. Kind of carries with it the same route logic. Oh. I could try chasing down the axemen. We did actually. I guess we did get the city back. So, although I'm going to do my priorities slightly better. Okay, so I can't do launch offensive after the route. I should have learned that last time, but. And shockingly, we still have orders left over. Okay. Not after this, though. I think we'll do a festival to try and deal with the unhappiness. Unless I can do something here that'll decrease it. Doesn't look like it. Noxkayam, how you doing? And in Ostia, again, if we can get more orders, so much the better. Otherwise, I'm going to try and get better at making war. It definitely feels like they've given me more than enough to get the job done, so even though I've made some pretty questionable decisions here, I suspect we'll be fine. Yeah, so that's 2 hoplites we've lost due to some of my questionable choices, but... distance penalty. We'll make it up on volume. Now, this is a pretty scary thing to do. There is some logic behind it, though. So I'm not routing in this case. Okay, so now we should be able to launch an offensive. Also, we'll take a look at what happens on our orders. There we go. Oh, but apparently this unit I misjudged. Okay. You are now known as Alexander the Great. Hey, there's Rome. So again, we're not messing with the scout here. I don't want to. I don't want to suddenly find out that I've lost. I am, however, going to give them something to think about. Okay. Usual story here. Anything... First thing I want to do is try to... Oh, here we go. Master Acolyte. Try and improve the number of orders I have just because of the number of units that I'm working with. After that, you know, trying to reduce discontent and so on and so forth. You're doing good, but you've been sick since Saturday, so you haven't been to school. Sorry to hear that. I'm gonna have to stay and finish your absent work, and you hate the auto emoji. I don't mind it actually. I used to care a little bit more about the text values, but it expresses what I made. There's very few times that the emoji has expressed something other than what I was intending. Now, at some point, I'd kind of like to learn this well enough that I'm making my own decisions as far as where to put improvements. But I think for the time being, I'm just going to settle for... Actually, you know what I can do? Maybe not. I was thinking I could use a worker to develop the Roman lands, but... well, I was originally saying I should build a farm here. What changed? Judaism. The descendants of the prophet Abraham have settled in the city of Raygun, bringing Judaism into the world. The Jewish believers worship God through sacrifice and the reading of their sacred texts given by God to the prophet Moses. Their dedication is such that they won't pray to any other gods and strictly follow the laws set out by their religious creed. Will you support this new religion? I always thought that this was something that you needed to actively pursue. I'm not so surprised. Like, I'm surprised at the religion being founded as opposed to like Jewish Greeks. Like, that's just gonna happen in this game. But was this game made by Paradox? The UI is really similar to Stellaris, unless that's just how most grand strategy games look. Stellaris is the only game that I played. Definitely not made by Paradox. This is by a developer named Mohawk Games. So Mohawk Games have made 2 games. The first was Off-World Trading Company, which is an excellent economic RTS. And Old World is the second one. This game did get some influence from Crusader Kings, but if you're interested in sort of the pedigree, there's a podcast that just released... well, Designer Notes has been around for a while, so the podcast has been around for a while, but the episode is actually the interview of Soren and Layla Johnson. So Layla Johnson is the CEO and creative director for this game. Soren Johnson is the design director. But Soren Johnson's sort of his background have been on games like... So I think he did AI, and I think he did some design work on Civilization 3, and then he was sort of lead on Civ 4. So certainly somebody, and then he also worked on Spore, I suspect probably on the more 4X-ish parts of those games. So definitely the people who have worked on this game, and again, I apologize for only just referring to sort of the 2 very senior roles, but certainly it's definitely a like a team that is very comfortable and very familiar with the genre. But I can see where you'd make the connection, right? Because, of course, this game is very heavily invested in characters. I haven't been spending as much time with them because, you know, I'm focusing on the war. But it does sort of make sense, right, that on sort of the right-hand side of the screen, you've got this list that you can immediately access in terms of sort of things that are important on the right-hand side. And then, of course, there's lots of events and story elements that come up. And that's definitely true for a lot of the Paradox grand strategy games. So I 100% see where you're getting that impression from. I definitely feel like there is kind of an established grammar for the way that these things get communicated in games now. Okay, so we can invite their leaders to court. We can ask for a copy of their laws, or this does not concern me. Refuse to bow. No, we'll invite them to the court. Okay, let's finish off the Romans. And then the rest of them we will move... The rest of the units will move to Rome itself. Probably should be moving people in a way that lets me get the advantage of the launch offensive ability. So I'm trying to surround Alexander before I do anything else. So now we do launch offensive. We get all our orders back. Oof. Agus the Younger is converted to Judaism, as well as the governor Phila the Younger. Ave Imperator, you are well on your way to conquering Rome. In this tutorial, you learned how to prepare for war, capture cities, and defeat a major nation. You have now learned the basic skills you need to play Old World. There are many ways to play Old World. You may start the Carthage campaign, playing as Dido in leading Carthage from a new settlement to an empire to rival Rome. Battle for supremacy in the central Mediterranean with famous characters such as Hannibal, Scipio, and Archimedes. Take on the barbarian horde in a thrilling battle for survival. Build up your nation, your forces, and prepare for the horde. Play against AI nations in a single-player game. Choose your leader, your settings, and lead your nation to glory. Will you pursue ambitions, score the most points, or simply wipe out your enemies by conquest? The choice is yours. Meet your friends or make new friends on the internet in multiplayer games. Fast-paced online battles or long strategic, well-thought-out play-by-cloud marathons, or settle in for a night of hot seat with your significant other. Join the Old World community on Discord, Twitter, Facebook, and other social networks. Stay up to date with announcements about the game, discuss tactics, or even create a mod. For now, you're in a great position, having taken a city from Rome, held against their forces, and taken a second city from them. This ends the Learn to Play tutorial series. You may choose to finish the tutorial now, or continue and completely defeat Rome by taking their last city. And we waited a while to do this, so yes, we'll completely defeat Rome. We might as well go for it, because that'll also give me a chance to get some tea at the end, and then we can move on to the next part, the part that I was really looking forward to for tonight. So I want to completely defeat Rome. Okay, as usual, we will start with ranged attacks, soften them up. These are going to need some time to unlimber. So it's 4. I know I'm taking the spot that the Onager is eventually going to take, but... I don't have the training. Should have paid closer attention. But I think we do get to wipe out this unit. We should just capture the city from that. The nation of Rome has been eliminated. Ave Imperator, you have conquered Rome. In this tutorial, you learned how to prepare for war, capture cities, and defeat a major nation. This ends the Learn to Play tutorial series. We wish you well as you embark on your adventures in the Old World. I am ready. By the way, the other thing I should mention is that this game is developed by Mohawk Games, but it's Hooded Horse that's the publisher, if the distinction matters for you. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a quick second here. I had half a tea already drank by the time that I started streaming. So I'm just going to take a second to boil a little more water and refill what I have. And I'm really looking forward to showing you this next little bit, because I took a look at the embargoes. So the embargo for Heroes of the Aegean was lifted today at 11 a.m. my time. So basically, this game is getting a DLC alongside its Steam release. So while I'm definitely interested in showing you the Carthage campaign, I figure now's a nice little chance to just be able to show you what's going to be coming out tomorrow, and maybe whet your appetite. I don't know how long the campaign is. I'm actually going to be going in, completely cold off of this. So part of the purpose of giving me the key ahead of time would be to like do a whole bunch of YouTube videos ahead of that, and I just simply didn't have the time. Plus, I mean, Twitch is still kind of my primary platform. So as a second best, I sort of figured it's like, hey, why not wait for the embargo and then jump in and we'll take a first look together. But before I do any of that, I'm going to get myself something to drink. If you want to do so yourself, if you've been sitting at your keyboard for a while or watching the stream, maybe take a second to get up and take a stretch, and otherwise take care of yourself. I shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 minutes, but I will just put up the sign. I've got to change the colors. Once I have a beverage, we'll be back to see the Heroes of the Aegean. See you all in a little bit. Olaf, you wonderful man. Good to see you. Sorry, I just spilled some water on my way to the keyboard, so I'm just going to be one more minute. I apologize for this. All right, sorry about that. I know I don't want to leave like a little puddle waiting for me at the end of the stream so I can do a backflip. So, for those of you who stuck around, I appreciate your patience. Let me see what I'm working with. And yes, sorry, I just wanted to double check that. I did say I was going to be playing Heroes of the Aegean, but I did want to double check that I had the time right. So 3 p.m. UTC. Well, let me just double check that. 11 a.m. May 18th. May 18th. Yes, cool. We're good. So yeah, it's going very well, Olaf. So we finished the tutorial for Old World. I'm definitely feeling a lot more refreshed on the material. I should mention too, there is, so I didn't know there was a wiki. There is actually a manual as well, which is written by, I believe, a fairly senior member of the community. I will confess I haven't really read the manual yet, but I am definitely looking forward to maybe getting a deeper understanding of it. I kind of perused a couple of the pages, and it seemed to be, so I really liked playing Babylon when I played this last. And it seemed to be there's some fondness. It seems that player is now kind of their heart's been captured by Assyria, but I don't know. I'm still Babylonian at heart. And I mean, whenever I play like a game like this, I'm always going to play Rome at least once. But I try to go outside my comfort zone on stuff. So Rome I take for granted. I sometimes give myself a little Rome as a treat, and then. Try out some different things. So, in the spirit of different things, when you get Old World, probably what you'll be starting with will be Learn to Play. There are some maps. So these I kind of take as being, you know how like in Civilization you'll have sort of like your world map with like the official starts and things like that. I believe that's kind of what these are intended to be. The game ships with The Rise of Carthage, so guide the nation of Carthage from its founding to eternal greatness in this history-inspired campaign. Carthage was founded by Queen Dido on the northern shores of Africa as a small Phoenician colony. Over time, it expanded along the coast to Mediterranean islands and the shores of Europe, becoming the richest nation in the region, known for its wealth and seafaring skill. The campaign consists of 4 scenarios that will take you from humble beginnings as a colony struggling to survive against nearby raiders to a powerful empire waging war against the emerging power of the Roman Republic. But what we're going to be playing is Heroes of the Aegean, so this is going to be the DLC that releases tomorrow along with the Steam release of Old World. So I read somewhere, and again, please don't take this as an official announcement. I'm kind of relying on you to confirm this through your various sources. But I believe the intention is that if you have Old World in like the first 2 weeks of this release, this DLC release, I believe you get this DLC for free, and I think it's paid after that. Now again, please, if I've gotten this wrong, do not get mad at like Hooded Horse or Mohawk. That's me for reading that incorrectly. Actually, I'm gonna see if I can find anything on the Steam page for that, just so I can get people in a good spot. But I suspect probably what it is just to give people sort of the incentive to pick it up, because of course this game is sort of getting its second release now that sorry, just trying to look. Yes, wishlist Old World and purchase within the first 2 weeks of release to automatically receive Heroes of the Aegean for free. I'm not 100% sure what that means to those who had it on Epic, but this is where I saw the news there. And then, of course, if you've not yet wishlisted Old World, there's the Steam page. And, of course, it goes without saying I was given a key to this for... so this specifically, the Hooded Horse has given me access to early. This part is unambiguous. So we're going to enjoy as much of Heroes of the Aegean as I can get through tonight. It does say prologue here, so this may be a shorter part of the campaign, but I'm sure you've all noticed I do take a while to get through things. So... prologue, Battle of Marathon. In 492 BCE, the Persian... I can never pronounce this correctly. Achaemenid Empire under King Darius I invaded Greece. Persians seized much of Greece through combat and Greek capitulations, but the cities of Athens and Sparta refused to yield. After a break in the fighting, a large Persian force headed for Athens, intending to capture the city and then proceed to Sparta. This short scenario serves as a prologue for the Heroes of the Aegean campaign, letting you recreate the Battle of Marathon, which marked a turning point in the conflict between Greece and Persia, and is the reason why the word marathon is now so widely known. One brief comment I will make. The soundtrack for this is wonderful, but I have to let you know, because I am playing the streamer-friendly version of the soundtrack, you are unfortunately missing out on some of the best music that the soundtrack has. So that is no complaint about the current state of the soundtrack. I really like it as it is, but I do just want to let you know, for those of you that appreciate good music, this is a taste. I definitely think, if you get a chance, definitely play it with the full soundtrack on. It is absolutely a treat. For decades, Greece and Persia have been bitter rivals, with the young Persian Empire expanding west under King Darius. 9 years ago, Greek cities in Ionia revolted against Persian rule, and this revolt soon turned into a prolonged war between the two powers. Persia prevailed, and Darius decided to conquer all of Greece, and to especially punish Athene for helping the Ionians revolt. 2 years ago, a large Persian fleet invaded Greece, and the Persian general Mardonius, the most trusted by Darius, embarked on his campaign of subjugation. We have recently received word that Persia intends to assault Athene directly, while a battle we are not prepared to fight. We should gather what forces we have in preparation. We will prepare. Okay, so it hasn't given me any ambitions to start off with. We can take a look at the... So we have Polemarch Camillus the Intrepid. We could send them on a mission. The question is, who do I want to get them in touch with? Or is it better for me to focus on prep? Well, here's what we're going to do. So Strategos, actually, yeah, if they're going to be a general, I think they're already a general, it looks like. So we definitely want... Okay, so we're either going to want to replace this general, or want to get them on side. I'm actually... So I do know about Miltiades. I actually seem to recall I named a character after that. I do not recall the name... Synagrius. Or Synagrius? Oh, sorry. So I just want to see if I can find any... Oh, yeah, there's a... So this is just Wikipedia, but... He was an ancient Greek general of Athens and had 3 siblings. His 2 brothers were the playwright Aeschylus and Amenius, hero of the Battle of Salamis, while his sister was Philopatho, mother of the Athenian tragic poet Philocles. He was the son of Euphorion from Eleusis, member of... Okay, it doesn't say Battle of Marathon. He fought against Darius's invading Persian army. He was one of the Athenian generals, despite their numerical superiority. There's a custom in Athens that the father of the man who had the most valorous death in battle should pronounce the funerary oration in public. The father of Sangarius. Oh, hang on. Oh, so he died. Okay. I was just trying to think if there was a reason why he would be upset with why he'd be upset with me right now. So again, if you've not seen, if you haven't been with us during the broadcasts for Old World, this is definitely very character focused. So there's a couple things that I'm going to do here. So first thing, let's try. Oh, looks like I cannot influence my general. All right, that's going to have some consequences, I think. But what I can do for starters. Oh, I messed that up. I should have moved them first. Okay. What I'm trying to do here is try and get a little training in. So there's nothing to really gain by messing with these. So I can try moving them, but they're not really going to be anywhere near barracks where I need them to be. So I don't think we have any new generals to attach to them, so we'll just leave them be here. I guess one thing I can do is set up in a slightly more defensive position. All right, then. You start a goal. Block the exits from the plain of Marathon within 3 turns. Persia has just landed an invasion force under the command of Datis near the town of Marathon. He commands a sizable cavalry force with foot soldiers in support. It is clear that the Persians intend to attack Athenae as Marathon poses little interest. We stand little chance against Datis' force, but there is an opportunity. Persians may not have been aware that the plain of Marathon where they landed only has 2 paths out. One is the southbound road towards Lorion, the other leads to the hills of Athenae. If we rush to block these 2 exits, the Persian will not be able to mount a quick assault, buying us time. Meanwhile, Athenae assembles a war council of most distinguished strategoi. Among them, the highly respected Miltiades, the honorable Aristides, with each strategos taking turns to command the army for a day. Overall command will fall to Polemarch Camillus the Intrepid, who has been elected by the citizenry. So Persia has numbers, but we have organization. Okay. So I'm kind of happy that it marks that for us. I'm going to have to burn some training. It sucks that I have to do this, but I think this is worth it. We rush to block the exits from the Persian landing area. Enemy scouts have certainly spotted our movements, but for whatever reason, there is no significant movement from the Persian forces. Whether the delay is part of some strategy or mere uncertainty from field commanders, Persia cannot keep its army at the field camp indefinitely, and when they choose to attack, Greek forces blocking the paths will likely not be enough. Athenae cannot stand alone. It must request assistance from Sparta, famous for its proficient and disciplined military. If Spartans send some of their troops, the joint force would be enough to repel the Persian attack. We must immediately dispatch a messenger to Sparta, informing them of the Persian army near Marathon. If Athenae falls, Sparta will not be safe much longer, something their leadership also understands. Speed is the utmost important. You have started a goal, send the runner from Athens to deliver the message to Sparta within 5 turns. Phidippides the hero. Phidippides the hero is the fastest runner in all of Greece, best poised to deliver a message to Sparta. He is ready to embark on his run right away and will request the military assistance we need to defend Greece from the invaders. I just gotta find where Sparta is. Yeah, right here. So I have 5 turns to do this. For the rest, obviously, I'll try and get my units in a position to do the fight, but the runner is clearly the first priority. Okay, so the other thing I should probably be doing here is, no, these are fine. So probably fortifying makes sense for these units as well. Okay. So once again, because of this order system, it absolutely makes sense to make sure that you prioritize your movement. This is one thing I quite like about this orders approach. So you could think of it like for multiplayer, I am definitely one of these people who makes a game last forever because of my very sort of deliberative style. But what's really neat here is sometimes it feels like there can be turns that are not as important in certain 4X games. And not every turn's going to be a blockbuster, but it is kind of interesting to see how much thought Old World has sort of put into making the... Sorry, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. Like, it really does feel like there's some effort that's been put into making each turn really count, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I'm really intrigued by how they've sort of pulled this off. I guess we're going to be guarding a lot more here. Actually, come to think of it, we can probably get some more promotions in. And I think kind of the orders is a way of doing it. So like the fact that you don't necessarily, in some cases, you're not necessarily going to be able to do everything that you want. And instead you're going to have to put some careful thought in terms of how you accomplish some of the things that you want to do, or your overall objectives. It's definitely a style that I like quite a bit. On that note, we will continue to run our marathon. Phidippides the hero has run the distance to Sparta in less time than anyone in recorded history and delivered our plea for help. Spartans would also like to see Persia defeated, and they are ready to assist us, but no sooner than in a fortnight. Sparta is currently celebrating the local festival of Carnea, which is of such importance that no military action may ever be undertaken during the festival. Nothing Philippides says can change the mind of the Spartans. Their army will not march towards Marathon before the next full moon. After a period of rest, Philippides will return, but he will do so alone, as the fate of Greece hangs in the balance. Spartans will not stop fasting even to save Greece? How did they ever become a major power? You've completed the goal, send the runner from Athens to deliver the message to Sparta. You've started the goal, wait for the strategoi to reach a decision. I really got to learn how to pronounce this. Okay. So in this case, I basically just need to prep as much as I can. We'll get the cheap promotions in where I can. There may be some point where I want to try and move them in, but like we can move them in position in the next turn. So at this point, I think we just pause it all and hope for the best. I don't think I can hurry things in this. Oh, I can. Interesting. So it'll cost us some discontent, but I'm not going to complain about having extra hoplites. As the Strategoi are discussing plans for how to defend Athenae against Persia, whose forces are still camped out, an unexpected message arrives from the nearby polis of Plataea. They will send their most able-bodied men to fight Persia alongside our troops. Plataea is but a small city that has fewer soldiers than Athenae, and certainly fewer than Sparta, but any allied troops are going to be a huge help. Strategos Miltiades is keen to attack the Persians and is encouraging final battle plans to be drawn up. We still do not know why Persia has not attacked first, but it does not seem likely that they will wait for Spartan forces to arrive. This is unexpected, but very welcome news. We're now in a tribal alliance with Plataea. Okay. I may use orders to hurry the hoplite, but let's see if I can get by with my existing forces. Again, trying to get whatever bonus training I can get in while we wait. '81 actions. Something happened. Now is the time to strike. The Persians have revealed their plan. Persian cavalry has boarded ships, which set sail along the coast. That is certainly an attempt to bypass our land blockade and reach Athenae by water. Without Sparta fighting by our side, we cannot muster enough forces to defend two directions, so our only move is to attack Persian troops at Marathon now. With the honorable men from Plataea ready to spill blood defending a city that isn't theirs, we can and must prevail. By the way, I do actually know how this battle ends, so, I mean, we kind of know that Greece becomes its thing, but like, you kind of, if you do like, so I really like the way they build this up, because I don't actually know the details in terms of like the ordering and delays and that, but like essentially there is the battle. I think if I recall correctly, Miltiades was the general for the specific battle, and what the this battle in particular is a pretty famous one, Naxxchayim. So if I recall correctly, and I am in so much danger whenever I talk about this stuff online, because like people really get into this, and I do a lot of this from memory, and some of this stuff in particular I haven't read in a really long time. So again, apologies in advance if I get the history wrong, but I believe the strategy employed here is that, so those of you who've played Total War will sort of know that you have a decision to make in terms of how wide you make your line, right? So you can have a big sort of deep line, so lots of sort of reinforcements to if people fall, or like, you know, a nice strong base, but it's not going to cover as much ground. And then of course you have a nice wide line, which of course has the potential to envelop the enemy. And if I recall correctly, I'm like 99% sure it was Miltiades who did this, they really stretched out the line, and what they did was the ends sort of were reinforced. So it's almost, if you kind of think of like a dumbbell or like a barbell, right? You have this thin center, and you've got these two heavy ends, the intention being that it'll sort of just collapse in on the Persian forces. And apparently it was a very near thing that roughly around the time the center broke, the Persian flank sort of fell, and the Greeks were able to overrun the Persians. But of course, this particular force, the one that's being described here, was already on its way to Athens, and so there's this race to get there in time. And of course, one is forced to assume the Michael Bay ending. So they didn't make it, but you're forced to assume the Michael Bay ending, where everybody with their bronze helmets are caught just on that right angle with the sun, you know, shining in, and you know, you have the nice slow, low camera angle that's moving through. But I really, really like the way they build this up. So anyways, sorry, let's try that again. Now is the time to strike. The Persians have revealed their plan. Persian cavalry has boarded ships which set sail along the coast. That is certainly an attempt to bypass our land blockade and reach Athena by water. Without Sparta fighting by our side, we cannot muster enough forces to defend two directions, so our only move is to attack Persian troops at Marathon now. With the honorable men from Plataea ready to spill blood defending a city that isn't theirs, we can and must prevail. Time for the Strategoi to put their plans into action. Destroy the Persian army within 7 turns. Okay, how do we go about this? So I suppose one thing I want to do is just take a look. Okay, so first of all, there's a Persian general here. So if we can take out the general, that will be nice. Yeah, so we're stronger. Okay, so clearly I do not want my chariot rushing in to the spears. Strategos Miltiades, this day's commander of the army, has long been ready to give the attack order. Of the 10 strategoi, the votes were split evenly on whether to attack now or await reinforcements, but Miltiades convinced Polemarch Camillacus the Intrepid that offense is the only option. With Camillacus casting the decisive vote, the battle for Marathon has begun. Push them back into the sea. All right. I'm feeling very nervous about this. This is really well done. So I'm taking advantage. This is also true, by the way. The soft ground. So this is a pair. I believe this is what the Persians were driven back into. The swampy ground back here. So I'm gonna try and use this. If they go after my archers or my chariots, they're gonna be losing health. The question though is, do I want to push them up? No, I'll push my guy up here. I'm out of orders. Okay, this is the best I can hope for right now. I also should be moving my other hoplites in. So if we can clear these out, we're going to send our chariots in to chop up the archers. Okay. Let's think a little bit about how I can get through this. This is definitely a tough spot for my archers to be in. I don't think this militia is going to be all that effective against these guys, but I also don't think I have much in the way of options right now. Okay. Clearly I gotta clear this out. Basically by any means necessary, so we'll throw whatever bodies we can. I should also see what my generals can pull off. It's probably better for me to do an attack rather than an ideal. Okay, and anything else we can throw into the maw? I think that's it. So this isn't a huge surprise. They get this is a pole arm against a chariot, so. But we should be able to mop up the rest. So if I can get this militia in here, that's ideal, but I don't think it's going to work out that way. Okay, let's think about how I can work through this. Okay, zone of control is a thing. This is risky because of this polearm, but... Good. Okay, and again, we've got sort of reserves, but in this case, I'm happy enough to take out the remaining units. In this case, we're just trying to minimize the number of high-quality units that we lose. So chariots I'm willing to give up, archers I'm willing to give up, hoplites are definitely a more costly loss. Okay, so we got 4 days to finish these guys off. I'm going to start by getting rid of any of the Persian spear units. It's kind of hard to pass up the opportunity to damage more than one unit at once. This is such a waste of a unit, but it does eliminate an archer, which is a bit of a priority right now. Okay, so I've got 3 remaining moves. I don't think there's any sort of special general abilities that I can really use here. So what I'm going to do with the rest of the turn is just try and get some units in the fight. Now, I could, in theory, use the force march. The drawback would be I don't have the orders to be able to pull it off, so I could try and buy another order, but what does that really accomplish that I wouldn't be able to do the force march? And apparently I've got a spare general, so who could... Well, you're in the middle of a fight. Right, we're on cooldown. So if I can, this militia would be great to try and mop up this this unit here. We'll see if we can get away with it, given what the chariot does. Okay, so militia can mop this unit up. So I'm trying to put the weaker units into positions where they'll mop up remaining units. And then from this point, we should just be able to work on the remaining Persian forces. I don't exactly want to be in the swampland, but it's the most effective way for me to use my orders. So they may still be able to kill a unit depending on where they're able to move. But I think that's a pretty good showing. Oh, right, it's going to want to get space. Victory is ours. Persian flanks were no match for our disciplined hoplites, and the Persian center had no hope once surrounded. As Greece routed the enemy, a smaller number of Persians made it onto their ships. General Mardonius, the unfortunate of Persia, ordered all remaining forces to return to Persia. Greek casualties were few, but included some prominent citizens. Strategos Kayangrius ran into the water during the Persian retreat, grabbed onto a trireme and attempted to pull it back, but had his hands cut off by an enemy soldier and died. Polemarch Camillus the Intrepid was one of the last Greeks to die, struck by a spear as he was chasing a retreating soldier. Philippides was also present at the battle, and upon seeing Greece victorious, he once again embarked on a run, this time from Marathon to Athenae. Philippides delivered word of our victory, and having uttered, I really wish I knew how to pronounce that, we win, died of exhaustion. Greece will not fall to King Darius, but the conflict with Persia is surely not over, and Mardonius remains a threat for as long as he lives. Today we won. One day we know Persia will return. All right, that was a really cool little prologue. I realize that I've only got about 40 minutes or so left on the usual streaming hours. I should actually also mention that it was Dirty Rectangles tonight, but it's really hard, not to pass up the opportunity of streaming something like this. So let's at least start the next scenario. I suspect we probably won't be able to get through the end of it because this is going to be a proper. Is going to be kind of a proper. Actually, tell you what. Let's do a quick preview. I'll talk about what events are in this, and then we'll start on Land and Sea, and that just gives us a setup for possibly tomorrow. Again, keep in mind. I've already done an extra stream this week, and I am going to be feeling it on the weekend when I need to get some extra stuff recorded. But if I can make it happen, I'll try and do a stream for tomorrow for the release. Failing that, we'll definitely be back to this game on Friday. So at the very least, this will be a prelude to the proper campaign on Heroes of the Aegean. So in 480 BCE, 10 years after the Battle of Marathon, Persia invaded Greece again, this time led by King Xerxes I, son of King Darius. Xerxes intended to finish what his father couldn't, subjugate Greece, Sparta, and the rest of Greece. I wonder if that said Athens, Sparta, and the rest of Greece. The Greeks had agreed upon an alliance of about 70 city-states a year, and it was this alliance, Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Phocis, I think that's right, Plataea, and others, that would fight some of history's most famous land and naval battles to defend Greece against Xerxes. This scenario consists of several set-piece battles, where Greece must use its forces to the best of its abilities. There's no city management or economy in this scenario. It's all about tactical battles. Oh, this will probably be a good lesson for me, because I'm kind of crappy at fighting. The next one, Rise of Macedon. Notice you can't do this until you've finished the scenario before. In 359 BCE, Philip II would become king of Macedonia, a smaller kingdom in the northeastern part of Greece. Philip took power at a difficult time. Macedonia was getting raided by its neighbors and could not compare to the power of cities like Thebes or Athens. Philip proved to be a skilled diplomat and a brilliant general, reforming his army into a dominant force that he used together with political marriages to greatly expand Macedonia and eventually dominate affairs in Greece. You begin the scenario as the newly crowned King Philip, facing hostile raids and a weak economy. Using diplomacy and warfare, you will greatly expand your territory and see famous characters join your court. Now, I'm guessing most of you will know Philip's much more famous son. If you don't, I'm curious. I suspect probably the next one will say the more famous son. But if you want to volunteer, you'd know if you saw last stream. But Philip is the father of Alexander, who kind of completed many of his ambitions. Philip's rule in Macedonia and Queen Olympias. Philip's rule in Macedonia and his plans to invade Persia were cut short when Philip was assassinated by his bodyguard Pausanias. The motive of the assassination is subject to debate, but it had a profound effect on history as it immediately put Philip's son Alexander on the throne. Once Alexander left to wage war in Asia, power struggles ensued in Greece. In this scenario, you play as Queen Olympias, Philip's widow and Alexander's mother. You will engage in politics and spycraft to keep your grip on power and support Alexander as you face opposition from the Athenian orator Demosthenes and from Antipater, a former friend with his own political ambitions. The scenario is focused heavily on events. The choices you make will have a significant effect on how the story develops. Several gameplay aspects also work differently. It is recommended that you take a moment to read the rules in-game the first time you play the scenario. The time period when scenarios 4 and 5 take place overlaps, so the two scenarios can be played in either order. So, 5. Megas Basileus. Philip's rule of Macedonia and his plans to invade Persia were cut short when Philip was assassinated by his bodyguard Pausanias. Philip was succeeded by Alexander, who set out to do what his father never did and conquer Persia. Alexander was a general of unparalleled skill with the greatest ambitions. This scenario starts as Alexander departs Greece and sails to Persia, accompanied by Alexander's most trusted generals, Hephaestion, Parmenion, Seleucus, Ptolemy, and Lysimachus. You will go from the first battles on Persian soil all the way to the ultimate victory over Persia. And the time period where scenarios 4 and 5 take place overlaps, so the two scenarios can be played in either order. And Diadochi, dividing the empire. The year is 301 BCE, 22 years after Alexander the Great died in Babylon. There was no obvious successor, so many generals and politicians from Alexander's empire fought over the rights to his empire. By 301 BCE, multiple wars had been fought, and Alexander's empire consisted of several kingdoms vying for power. In this scenario, you can choose one of the 4 successor kingdoms to play as. The default choice is the Seleucid Empire, the largest of the 4 kingdoms. Together with the Ptolemaic Kingdom, these are the easiest choices. For the greatest challenge, play as Cassander's Macedonia, which controls little territory and has to expand against stronger neighbors. So this one you get options, which I think is kind of cool. So I think I corrected this before. I thought that the Peloponnesian War might be included, but it doesn't. They just kind of skip over that. So in any case, on land and sea. This is also kind of interesting because there's a lot of civilization scenarios. Like I usually just buy the default. I just kind of buy the deluxe version of any civilization game because I'm gonna want to figure it out for myself, basically. Even if it does turn out to be a disappointment, which hasn't been the case for me. I'll usually just want to see for myself no matter what. But one of the funny things is that even though I get a bunch of scenarios as a result of that, I very rarely play them. I usually just wind up playing the base game. So this is also kind of interesting just to see how Old World has done a good job of sort of roping me into some of its more scripted stuff. 10 years ago, Greece defeated Persia near Marathon and drove Persia... Actually, no, I think it's the character factor that probably sells me on it. 10 years ago, Greece defeated Persia near Marathon and drove Persian forces of King Darius out. Darius died several years later, but his son King Xerxes the learned of Persia, is just as committed to destroying Greece as his father was. Having amassed a large army and the navy to support it, Xerxes has launched a second Persian invasion of Greece. As the Greek navy, commanded by Themistocles, is fighting at, I'm so bad with pronunciation, Artemisium? A decisive battle is brewing near Thermopylae, a narrow pass that is the only viable path to southern Greece, and it is here that King Leonidas the Great intends to defend alongside 300 of his most trusted men. Xerxes sent an envoy demanding the defending Spartans to lay down their arms, to which Leonidas replied, well, this one we all know how to say, Molon Labe, come and take them. Until a larger Spartan army arrives, it is up to Leonidas and his 300 Hippias? I'll just say hippies. No. Hippias to defend the coastal pass and a mountain track that local people have made known to us. They shall not pass, or what exactly do we expect to happen here? Show rules for the battle. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to look at the rules. You've started a goal, kill Persian invaders at the pass of Thermopylae. During this battle, Greece has to defend against the Persian assault on the pass of Thermopylae. You are in control of King Leonidas the Great and a small force. You cannot defeat the invaders. Persia will reinforce if necessary until your defenses fall. The longer you manage to defend, the better your starting situation will be in the next stage of the scenario. You get training for each kill, which will also help in the next stage. Leonidas is a powerful general. If the unit he commands dies, Leonidas will automatically assume command of another nearby unit. We'll fight in the shade. Yeah, we'll see how many archers there are in this scenario. Quite a few. Okay, so one thing I might consider here is, okay, well, we have to end the day. I was just thinking, like, we can try and rush up to the front here and really take advantage of the narrow pass. Should probably change the stream title. Tonight we dine in heck. I'm trying to think of the best way to handle this. Cool. Oh, this wasn't enough to finish the job. Okay, I kind of question the decision here, but... yeah, I don't know. The fact that there's forts here kind of makes me think that I shouldn't be running out front like this, but... I'm also mildly curious, like, if there's something that happens when they get around the edge like this, but... I was really hoping that would be enough to finish them off. I made it. Never mind. So again, this is going to force them to focus on these two. So I am a little interested in the fact that it's this is about killing the units as opposed to delaying the units. So I'm almost wondering if it makes sense for me to just maybe rush these guys ahead to fill in, like, plug in the gaps. I probably should have done that earlier if I wanted to, but I'm not completely opposed to it either. Yeah, let's try. I may want to have one spare unit to chase those other units off. I think probably eliminating something that does damage is probably the higher priority here, as bad as I feel about it. And I did change my mind. I am going to have a unit back here to chase one of these guys down. No! If I can get to those tasty chariots, I'm going to assume that we can do some brutal damage to them with these spears, but... Okay. Can't move through that. Well, that complicates things. In that case, I might as well fortify. I'm not quite ready to come after them. Okay, so I want to go aggressive against these archers. I should also probably see, yeah, so I probably want to keep a better eye on what kind of territory I'm occupying, because there are definitely bonuses. In this case here, though, I just want to inconvenience this unit. Now... kind of curious how this is all going to work out. Interesting, so I'm not able to move in. That's inconvenient, but... I'm definitely feeling the archers are the real killer here, so if I can get rid of them, so much the better. Whether or not I can actually pull it off is another question. As a general. So yeah, my real hope here was to try and maybe kill a few more archers than I managed. So I have a feeling I'm going to pay for this pretty soon. But let's maximize the damage that we can do. Oof. This is the one that has Leonidas in it. Okay, so now we get to find out how good forts are. The good news is there's not a lot of melee units in here right now, so what I might do is I actually might pull these guys back, and after recent word, King Leonidas the Great is now most impressively scarred. I don't think I'm willing to force march it. But this is gonna sting for archers, I think. Oh man, they're really getting in there. Okay, so pretty much forced to deal with these guys. Achievement unlocked. A good start. Oh man, that makes me feel bad. So, if this counts as a good start, yeah, kill 10 units at Thermopylae. And I'm kind of at the point where I'm thinking it's like, well, this is the end. This is making me think I did not cover myself in glory in this particular scenario. We'll do our best though. Okay. So I don't 100% know how I feel about this particular turn because I spread the damage around rather than tried to get kills, but I'm hoping that this builds up to a bunch of kills next turn. This is all banking that we survive though. Not good. Okay. Well, we'll keep with the plan. But I'm pretty sure this unit's the next one to fall. Probably a kill there, but okay. So clearly, I'll get the kill that that I can. Whether or not we survive to the next turn is a whole other question. But Achievement unlocked, tell the Spartans. Oh, complete the battle. Okay, so that was just... that's just the game telling me that I died. Hang on. Oh, do I not get that text again? Oh, here we go. Persian armies are endless as they assault the pass at Thermopylae. Every enemy we strike down is replaced by another, and their arrows are at times so numerous that the sun cannot be seen. At last there are too many. The battle could have been won if it weren't for Ephialtes, a local farmer who betrayed Greece and led the army through the southern mountain pass. Whether he comes to be rewarded by Persia or not, his name shall be cursed for centuries. On the slopes of Colonus Hill, not far from the defensive walls once built by Phocians, King Leonidas the Great meets the fate he believes was foretold in a prophecy by the oracle. Not one of his loyal soldiers surrendered, defending to the last with their weapons and even their bare hands. Leonidas was the last Greek to fall, as confident in death as he was in battle, protecting his homeland to the final breath. The souls of fallen Spartans will call out to any that pass the Colonus Hill. Stranger, tell the Spartans that we behaved as they would wish us to, and are buried here. I believe that is from Herodotus. But his loss is more impressive than most victories. Philgol killed Persian invaders at the pass of Thermopylae, and King Leonidas the Great dies. Stopping the invasion. Simultaneously with the Persian victory at Thermopylae, the Greek forces of Themistocles had to retreat from Artemision. Nearly the entire Greek navy has regrouped near Salamis, while Persia has gained a lot of land. The enemy has taken all of Attica, including the mines at Lorien, and news has arrived that the great polis of Athenae has been sacked. General Mardonius, one of the Persian leaders at Thermopylae, encouraged King Xerxes the Learned of Persia to burn Athenae, where the Acropolis was razed after its defenders got slaughtered. Themistocles is in charge of the Greek fleet, which is all that's stopping Persia from assaulting the Peloponnese and subjugating Greece. We have hastened to build as many ships as possible, but the Persian navy is nonetheless larger. Our hope lies with better tactics in the narrow straits near Salamis. The once exiled Aristides the Younger, a longtime rival of Themistocles, has been reinstated in the military and now reports the Persian fleet has arrived. If Greece is to survive, Themistocles and Aristides will need to put their differences aside and win the battle at any cost. We seem to have a bit of time while the Persian fleet prepares. We should use this opportunity to prepare our own ships as best as we can. How will our attempt to stop Persia proceed? Thermopylae has allowed us to construct 3 extra ships. Destroy the Persian fleet. The Battle of Salamis is a purely naval battle. You have 1 turn before Persian ships can attack, and it's best to promote your ships first. Greece has a smaller navy than Persia, so tactics and promotions will be of the utmost importance to victory. Several of your ships have access to Grappler and Coxswain. Both are very powerful promotions. Stuns the target and can rout after combat. In single player, losing the Battle of Salamis will mean loss in the scenario. Okay, so I think they said we'll take their word for it for saying promotions are of the utmost importance. Okay, so we've also got generals. We are probably not going to be fighting them in deep water, so... I'm definitely tempted to try Grappler on these. Now, whether or not I remember all of this stuff is another question, but... I should have moved. Oh, it looks like we don't get to move. I guess that depends. Splat TV. I guess that depends where you're located. So the game releases on the 19th. I do not know if it's at midnight. My recollection for Steam is that somebody actually has to hit the magic button. U.S. time zone. Yeah, I'm Eastern. So on Steam it says in approximately 6 hours or so. I suspect that's probably just Pacific time crossing over to midnight. I would not be... Actually, you know what? Tell you what. Let me take a second here and see if the Discord has anything to say about that. I shouldn't speculate when there might be a... announcements. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but if I can help someone... All right, so sadly I don't see a specific hour. I think you said on when they posted on their Twitter at 3 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, yeah, so if that's true, then that's basically in 2 hours. Oh wait, sorry, no, 3 a.m. Eastern time? That is not 2 hours. That is far from 2 hours. I'm sorry, I thought it was a very, very different hour. That's about five or 6 hours from now. So yeah, okay, that's fair. So I think they're basically going to be doing it at midnight Pacific time, which is where Steam's located. So yeah, if that's true, it'll unlock in about 5 hours. But you're a bit better informed than me on that. But one way or the other, it'll definitely be available today. And I'm currently playing the first full scenario of Heroes of the Aegean, which is from the Steam page available for free for 2 weeks to owners of Old World. So I'm assuming you all haven't wishlisted and bought the game already. There's a little incentive for you to do so. And of course, I will remind you I was given a copy of this from Hooded Horse, so this does kind of count as a bit of an advertisement. All right, back to the... I think I'm going to try Coxswain again. An amphibious naval unit? Who would have guessed? So there is a side of me that's happy to just let them come to me. Land-based naval units are the best. How is it compared to, say, Civ 5? Would you say set the bar for these types of games? I think it is actually a very good idea not to take anything that you would know from 4X games for granted. This game has a very strong focus on sort of characters and interactions. The turn system in particular is very, very unique. So the contrast that I'll try and make here is to say that one thing that makes me really infuriating for some people on streaming and also to play in multiplayer is the fact that, like, I really kind of take my time on a turn and, like, figure things out. So, like, single player versions are great for me because, you know, I don't piss people off. But it's also kind of fair to say that in Civilization, you'll sometimes have turns that don't mean as much, and, like, sometimes you'll just, like, automate, or you'll, like, just kind of hit space a bunch of times, and some turns become really, really significant, and other turns less so. In Old World, because of the order system, it is definitely true sometimes that you will have more things you want to do than you necessarily have the ability to do. And so it leads to this style of play where you will you'll sort of like really think about what you're what you're trying to accomplish and the order in which you're trying to do them. It also, one slight drawback to it that is that it's very easy to overlook some of the individual character interactions. So they do have this reminders button, which even with this reminders button, I do sometimes kind of forget that there's like, you can tutor a child, for instance, or you can use your character to influence somewhere else. And at the start of the stream, I did I read a presentation that Soren Johnson, who's the kind of the lead designer on this, he gave a talk at GDC about sort of knowing the inheritance of the games and the genres that you're picking up. And this game definitely reflects some considerations about what people kind of take for granted in 4X-style games, and maybe where the genre might have moved if you don't necessarily take a lot of that for granted. So I think it's really great and refreshing for that. But I also think that it's quite possible that some people might initially react rather strongly to that change. Because obviously, if you're used to Civ and you're expecting another Civ, Old World definitely has a very different kind of perspective that it has on it. Like, for instance, you can't cram a continent full of cities. You're fixed in terms of where you can place your settlers in that. And I'm really into this. I like this game quite a bit, and I liked it when it was on Epic. But I would definitely say that, you can sort of say Civ by way of Crusader Kings. That'll give you like a nice heuristic for understanding it. But it is definitely its own beast, and I definitely think it is good to try and keep an open mind in terms of how you think things might work, because I have a feeling that if you walk in with an assumption about certain 4X mechanics, you may sort of find yourself burned by certain decisions. Yeah, I mean, I think the mashup might not quite do the game full justice. I actually think the character system's a little bit more interesting than Crusader Kings. Like, Crusader Kings, you don't necessarily care if you win sometimes. This game, you care if you win. But it would definitely be fair to say that there is, like, the character interactions and the council. I mean, this is purely military, so you don't get to see any of this in this scenario right here. But yeah, that would not be an unfair comparison by any means. As long as it doesn't turn out... See, I didn't play that much Humankind, so I don't have any strong views on that, but I think some people have expressed disappointment. I'll put it to you this way. From what I've played of Humankind, it definitely feels like this goes into more original territory. But I also need to appreciate this scenario may not be the best for communicating some of the differences. Okay, so I've already let him sneak in. This is a disaster! Oh wow, they do a lot of damage. We're so dead. Oh, there's definitely a sandbox, or like a main like a proper full-on single-player game. Yeah, you're absolutely not married to this scenario. Just Heroes of the Aegean is the new DLC that's being released for the game tomorrow. And again, if you get Old World in the first 2 weeks, you get Heroes of the Aegean for free. So the embargo for that lifted at about 11 o'clock this afternoon. So I wanted a chance to just sort of see some of the new goodies. I really don't see how we can win this. It definitely feels like it does not take a lot for them to take out my ships, and they've kind of already surrounded us. But we'll do our best. I'm assuming if I did better at Thermopylae, then I would have had a few more ships to learn those lessons from. As far as scenarios, incidentally, so there are two sort of scenario groups, I guess, for lack of a better term. So one of them is Carthage, and then the other is this one, the Heroes of the Aegean. Okay, so knowing that basically it takes them 3 ships to wipe out one of mine, what's the best way that I can... Well, okay, there's some possibilities here. Wasn't enough to take it out. Oof. I don't think spreading out the damage like this is quite the smartest choice, but... I need to at least keep them from being able to move further. Oh, that's right. I forgot the fire ship really messes with them. So again, this is kind of more experimentation at this point more than anything, but... So yeah, I don't know. I feel like probably I could have had a little bit of a better understanding about the relative strength of these ships. The only thing I feel a little bit bad about this scenario for is that in order to learn these lessons that I've just learned, I had to go through Thermopylae, and as a consequence, the next time I get to try Salamis, obviously that's going to be coming after another round of Thermopylae. Now, I did not cover myself in glory in Thermopylae, so maybe it's nice that I have the opportunity to... oh wait, this is Persian ship. I'm an idiot. Okay, this one doesn't have grapple. Kind of want to know what happened to the one that cleaves. So if I can break through, it'd be nice. I think that, well, yeah, that's not enough to kill. I'm sort of locked in position. Okay, Yep. Maybe I should put more into promotions. I've definitely lost any hope of like trying to do stuff with my my specialist units at this point, but and unless my generals have any big magical abilities, I'm thinking we're done. So I mean, we might be able to do like a breakthrough on this side here, but I'm not. I'm not 100% sure how it would clean up these ships. Oh, insult to injury. All right. All right. Take out the biggest ship that we can find. So I'm intrigued by this idea of stun. So this unit is stunned, but apparently that only means it can't move. Oh no, that also means it can't attack. Fair enough. Could we add a general to it though? So the challenge here is I don't think this ship could move. So I was thinking we could double up and try and take out this one, but I think our only option... Ooh. That was unexpected. Yeah, again, we'll still lose, but... So, I think the thing I want to think about next. So I think it would it's fair to say if it's basically 3 attacks and it takes out a ship of mine, then it sort of makes sense to try and put a defense up here. But I'm not 100% sure how I translate that into a victory. Yeah, you mean somewhere up here like this? That I can sort of see. The only drawback is that I think once I start losing on this end, then they sort of pile on in the edge here. I was thinking something like this, but we'll see. I don't know if the special abilities, like how... I'm not quite sure how... carefully, like I don't know if they're just a random draw, but yeah, for the special, I'll admit actually the special abilities for units, I find it really hard to keep track of all of it. Anyways, the hammer falls, Salamis lost, the Persian navy was too big to defeat. The destruction of Athens was only a sign of things to come. The defeat at Thermopylae turned out to be the breaking point of Greece, as our hastily regrouped navy could not do more to stop the enemy from advancing. Very dark times lie ahead as Greece will be pillaged, subjugated, and turned into a mere province of Persia. Xerxes finished what his father Darius couldn't, and finds himself in control of an empire that none can rival. We do not know what the future holds for Persia, but one thing is certain, Greece will not be shaping the world. So ends a great civilization. But yeah, that was interesting. So, it's actually... I don't think it's terrible that I have a military-focused scenario, because it's definitely... Like, even just playing around a little bit on my own, I definitely know the military side of things is something that I struggle with a little bit more. So, I'm definitely going to... both on my own time as well as streaming. Like, obviously, I'm going to have to finish on Land and Sea... if I want to do the Alexander the Great, Philip and Alexander the Great scenarios. But I am at the 3-hour mark, and I really want to do some more Old World, but I have got a lot to do for work, and I sort of told myself I'm going to do these extra streams. I want to make sure that I'm kind of getting enough sleep and getting everything caught up. So I'm sorry to end on a on a loss. But that's fine, because in a few short hours, you'll all be able to do this scenario and laugh and say, lol, I got it the first time. What do you know about this? But yeah, I'll do a quick overview just for everyone, especially for those of you who are new to the channel. So first of all, if you're still on the fence about the game and you want to see me go through it, so on Monday, we did the tutorials, finished those off today. Today we did the final tutorial against Rome, and then we did the prologue, the Battle of Marathon, and then Thermopylae, and failed at Salamis. I'll probably do On Land and Sea again. I'll see how I feel about it, though, because I know some people might be interested in sort of seeing how the overall system works. But what I'll do for you is just a quick overview of what's available, because I know there were some questions in terms of chat about what the game options are. So under New Game, this would be your kind of standard civilization start. So I believe Heroes of the Aegean added Hatti. But you've got Assyria, Babylonia, Carthage, Egypt, Greece. I'm pretty sure Persia is an option in the base, and Rome. I believe Hatti is added in Heroes of the Aegean, and I'll take a quick second here. I think the Steam page will probably tell me if that's... No, this game is purely focused on classical antiquity. So the game lasts, I think it's 200 turns. So essentially, it's 200 years of classical history, and you play generations of rulers. So no air combat, no nothing. You don't even go that far into Rome. Basically, I'd say the game is focused entirely in BC. Good question. I'll take a look at the settings and see. And yes, the Hittites are added in. Heroes of the Aegean. So, if for whatever reason you do not, get this game in the first 2 weeks, and you don't want to buy Heroes of the Aegean, just keep in mind this will not be available to you. So let me just take a quick look at. Just trying to think of the best way of getting to it. So if we do... Nope, actually I think we do New Game and then just hit Next. So this is a simple setup. I think these are the default settings. So... City Raising, One City Challenge, Ruth SAI, Role-Playing Competitive Mode, Snow Force March. So it doesn't look like there's a way... So there is mod support. I don't know if somebody will mod out turns, but I believe the... Oh, hang on. There you go. Time victory. So victory from having the most victory points at the end of under turns. Disabling this victory removes the turn limit. So yes, you can turn off the turn limit. Do keep in mind that history will not progress, so you will doom humanity to thousands of years in, classical antiquity. But if that's your thing, go nuts. What was I going to say? There's actually something else I wanted to say about the setups. No, I've lost. Oh no, yeah, now I remember. There's actually a couple of neat ways. That this game handles turn length as well. So realistic, nasty, brutish, and short. Standard characters do not frequently die young. Lengthy. So the idea here is like, let's say you are all about the character, and again, I think this is actually something genuinely interesting that Old World is bringing to 4X style games. Let's say you really want to get invested in building up your particular characters, right? So you're taking these times to sort of take them down certain paths and events to lead them to become just these overall badasses. Like basically, let's say you want every ruler to be like Alexander the Great. You can enable lengthy mortality. So again, that's a longer period of time to invest in your leader, get the legitimacy up, get some interesting traits. But another way of doing this is to go from years to semesters. So there's two sort of different ways of angling this. So in this case, basically, it's two different ways of getting sort of the effect of a longer game without necessarily reducing or without necessarily extending the turn count. So one thing I will just say, I'm very much someone who likes playing games on the default settings from, like, because I kind of figure like, the designers know their game. They're gonna, they'll make some good choices. Of course, it's also true that the designers know their game and they know their audience, so that's why they include all of these. That's why they include all of these options inside here. So I think I'm just too lazy to go through these. But I think one of the things that Old World is trying to do is acknowledge the fact that it's really fun to start Civilization, and it's maybe not so fun to finish Civilization. I also think this is a problem that Total War runs into. I have a friend, incidentally, who plays Civilization up till they run into their first rival civilization, and then they stop playing and they just start a new game. So if you're like that player, you can put on 0 opponents. So with that in mind, I think one lesson to draw from Old World is, again, don't take things for granted from the 4X games, and that also includes some of the things that you don't like. So if you're someone who doesn't like the idea of timers, well, again, you can turn that off, but you might want to take a look and see whether or not a fixed time will work for you. Ambition Victory, the game's going to give you increasingly difficult objectives to try and complete. That's in the sandbox mode, as we called it. So that's kind of your I've done great works. You know, I found Rome a city of bricks and left it a city of marbles, a city of marble option. Double victory would be victory points, I think it's something like 54 victory points. Double victory would be you are halfway to the largest number of victory points, and you have twice as many as your rivals. So this is basically you've just got such an overwhelming lead over your opponents that you don't have to go through to the end of it. And again, you can turn this stuff off if that doesn't mean much to you. So one of the things that's kind of, again, I've not put enough time in this game to really put the screws to all of these different levels, but what I do find interesting are just there's a few different knobs to try and Strikes Twice. I have a feeling that you're gonna potentially like and maybe hate the order system, because the idea of so much micro, the order system, you definitely get more and more orders as time goes by, but the order system is always putting a fixed amount on how much you can accomplish on a given turn, and as a result, I think that makes the individual turns that much more interesting. A lot less automation, in my opinion. No Gandhi lobbing nukes, no. But yeah, so one of the things that maybe interests me the most is just knowing how some of these settings adjust things. So like the idea of the fact that it can, extending the game, the idea of having longer lived characters or sort of more happening over the course of a year. Those are two different knobs that you can turn that don't necessarily adjust the length of the playthrough, but you get more stuff that happens. And I think that's a really interesting way of sort of approaching those kinds of, I think that's an interesting way of approaching what I think some of those settings are trying to accomplish. So anyways, that's the sandbox mode that we talked about. If you like seeing some of the other things, the world maps, so I think these would be the equivalents to the preset maps in Civilization. So, if you want to play on the historical starts and the different continents. Again, keep in mind that this game is very much focused on, Mare Nostrum. So you're going to be playing sort of the Mediterranean, the Middle East, that sort of area. There is a learn to play. So this is very guided, so we won't kind of count this as a play mode, but I do recommend running through this. Again, the manual is written by a member of the community, and it's something like 200 pages or that. It's very detailed. So it's definitely got a very fixed idea in terms of how to play. So you may find that it's a ladder that you sort of kick away after you climb up it. But I sort of scanned over it and it seemed to make some sense. And then finally, the scenarios. So you do need to progress through the prior entries. So I did not lose Riches and Influence. I just tried Oxhide because I wanted to see what a scenario was like. Here's the Aegean again. That's a DLC which will be made available to people for 2 weeks after launch, and then presumably paid after that. And then finally, there are at least now one standalone scenario of the Barbarian Horde. I don't think this is just a survival mode. I do think, yeah. So there is a victory condition of eliminating the Barbarian Horde. So it's not just endless waves of barbarians, but I believe the modding support will allow community-based scenarios. So I'm I'm not 100% sure what these plans are, at least as far as what Mohawk has been providing. The scenarios seem to be much more about sort of these full-on campaigns that you'll play. So if you're worried, oh sorry, there's also Game of the Week. So just kind of like XCOM has a seeded playthrough that you can compare your accomplishments to friends with. Same deal there with Game of the Week. So if your concern is that the game is very static or very focused on its portrayal of history, I think there's like 3,000 events or something like that inside of the game. So there's a lot of variety. There's a lot to get into. Finally, one other comment that I'll just make. I noticed that there's a couple of people with TV in their names. So if you are a broadcaster, they did very kindly include a recording and streaming copyright safety mode. I do think it's a little bit of a shame that I have to turn this on because the soundtrack is gorgeous. And I think some of my favorite tracks definitely fall under the copyright. But for those of you who will be sharing your playthroughs, first of all, speak up if you plan on playing Old World. But this option has been made available to broadcasters, and that's definitely the reason why I'm streaming it now, because I know when it first came out I got very sternly worded comments regarding the music that was played on YouTube. Anyways, I'm really taking up everybody's time. Let's see if anybody else is playing Old World tonight, and we will pass it on to them. Otherwise, I will try and find someone good to send you to. Okay, sadly, no Old World tonight. Let's see who's online. We've actually got a few good people. I am going to introduce you to Kilgore Trout. Yeah, anyways. So it's been playing with the music, but it's been playing... So what... Sorry, I should just be clear. So basically, these... So like Philip Glass, you have to pay a lot of money if you want to get the rights to stream it. So the music is fine, but certain tracks are a problem. So the real shame here is, like, I really do like Byzantine chants. So, the different psalms... unfortunately, I have to do that on my private time. So if I were to turn this off, I'd get into some trouble. But yeah, if you turn this on, it'll play the music that's okay to play for your broadcast. Sorry if I was unclear on that. Anyways, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Kilgore Trout. So he is a streamer. He's actually a member of the GOG.com stream team. So he's been doing the Elder Scrolls Arena, which is actually a game I played for the first time a couple of years ago, and I did it in a Dark Elf voice, which was a tremendous mistake because it really kills the vocal cords. But he's somebody who actually, he's got a neat little hook for his stream. So he plays classic games on original hardware. He's got like a Pentium 2 or something like that running while he's doing Elder Scrolls Arena. He does a bunch of other games in that style as well. I don't know if he's much of a 4X player, but I do know that Old World is coming on to GOG, and it's been a while since I've rated him. So I, in the absence of an Old World streamer, I figured I'd give you all a chance to be entertained by Mr. Trout, and I'll leave you to it. I hope you all enjoy Old World when it comes out tomorrow. I hope I get a chance to see you again. I'll be playing this on Friday most likely. I'll try and stream tomorrow if I can. If you're still on the fence about Old World, remember that Mohawk is going to be streaming the game. That'll be a chance to see, I think Soren and Layla Johnson are both going to be streaming the game. There is a Designer Notes podcast, which has got an interview with them, and I'm sure there'll be some other content coming out showing the developers playing the game themselves. So there's a few other opportunities there. Have a wonderful evening, and see you in the next one.